at a very, very fast pace, and this is why we're seeing that green color there. So at least up until that section, we do not need to look at any alternative routes there. However, around the outer ring, thicker overpass is just where things are beginning to get slightly thick there. But also before that section, coming to... As you leave Thika Road, coming all the way to the city center, around KCA, heavy kind of traffic. Around Kenya Utalii College, still heavy kind of traffic, not moving at all, at a standstill on that section. Hence that maroon color there, which clearly indicates that. But also, this is just specific to that lane that is coming to the city center. And again, this is because of obvious reasons. On the other section, as you head over to areas around Thika Road and even past there, at least moving at a very fast pace, no traffic at all. In fact, this continues all the way on that section coming to the city center. That kind of heavy traffic continues all the way past Utalii, coming all the way to this to CBD. Kind of not moving at all, just at a standstill all through next to Muthaiga, still not moving at all, at a standstill on some sections. They're moving at a very, very slow pace. So we might need to look at that fast alternative route there if at all you're coming to CBD. But let's just go back to outer ring Thika overpass, and this is because of that kind of heavy traffic, especially around that section of Utalii College coming all the way to Muthaiga as you head over to the city center. So you can clearly use this as your alternative route if at all you're coming to CBD and you are coming from areas around Thika Superhighway before you get to Utalii as well as all the way to Muthaiga. This can be one of your good alternative routes. This is the outer ring road. As you head over to city center, just get to branch off to the Thika outer ring overpass, coming all the way through on that particular section, or rather that particular road there, where you get to branch off to Juja Road, or even go stretch further where you get to branch off to Jogo Road, because on that specific lane where you get to branch off to either of these other roads, at least is moving at a very, very fast pace. So that is one of the alternative routes there that you can use if at all you're coming to the city center. Perhaps in the next link up we'll look at different other alternative routes, but as of now, this is the road situation along Thika Superhighway.
And welcome back. After that, now let's get into the real debate here. Instead, we are still watching KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya with me, Victor Olo. And we are getting straight into it on The Viewpoint. And as you get it, we are glad to have NAK Kenya Party leader, that is Honorable Martha Karua, who is going to join us here for the next 1 hour. And we are going to have a discussion and we are going to have a conversation on matters politics and anything that you need to know around you. So send in your questions or your comments and we'll be sampling them during the program and at the tail end of this particular program. First of all, Mheshimiwa, good morning and good to see you, and good to see you once again. Good morning.
Morning, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. First of all, let's get into it. We know that students just performed their examinations, and as a parent, we have to give them their due, because they did the examinations in a very, weird situation after 9 months out, and they've managed to make it. How do you make out of this, Mheshimiwa?
It's a big congratulations to the students specifically, and secondly to the parents and guardians for enabling them.
Right. Absolutely.
I think it's well done in a very hard situation. We've never been in this situation again.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have done their best. Let's get into it.
They have.
The Senate voted yesterday. Now the bill is to the president. What is your take on this?
One, that the president must send it to the IBC for a referendum, because the issues contained therein are issues that the Constitution dictates must go for a referendum. But before talking about the referendum, let me say that this is a culmination of a very, very flawed process that violates the Constitution at every turn. We started with collection of signatures where the proponents of BBI, the president and his BBI brother, the former prime minister, used the provincial administration and public resources to collect the signatures. Some of them coerced from the youth who had been engaged in Kazi Mtaani. We then saw MCAs being bribed. After the IBC validated the signatures, MCAs were bribed with a car grant in order to pass BBI. We even saw Baringo MCAs who voted no being intimidated and made to write statements. We've then seen Parliament also under intimidation, even arrest of a Senate before the bill, the BI debate. So Parliament has again passed the BBI, and we know that currently backpedage the executive. So we are now in the final phase, and this bill must go to the people, and I'm hopeful that the people of Kenya will say no. BBI is a constitutional coup against the 2010 Constitution. It is the return of the imperial presidents, and we've already seen authoritarianism in the Jubilee administration. We have mass evictions reminiscent of the 1990s Kanu rule. We are having intolerance. With the coming of BBI, people opposed to BBI, politicians opposed to BBI had meetings broken up violently by police. We all remember what happened when BBI was at Bukungu Stadium. We saw politicians being marched from BBI rallies if they were perceived to be anti-back intolerance with authoritarianism and with the emasculation of the other arms of government by the executive, saying that it is mandatory that the president passes on this bill to the IBC, flawed as it is, so that Kenyans can have the final say. And I'm warning Kenyans, the dark days are back. It's up to us to respondingly is overthrowing the will of the people as embodied in the 2010 Constitution.
All right. And Mheshimiwa, you've always stood your ground that that BBI is going to take Kenya back to dictatorship. How is that going to happen?
I think we've already started experiencing that dictatorship. When Parliament cannot even elect its own committees, they have to be committee chairmen and all that have to be appointed by the president. When they want to change the material or the whips, it has to be the president. We never saw that during the Mwai Kibaki era. We never saw the president sitting to dictate to what Parliament must do. The kind of coercion we are seeing when Parliament is discussing motions that government is interested in is reminiscent of the dark days. The political intolerance, a lot of it now happening under the cover of COVID. These are all pointers. And the proposals in BBI, which are mixing the executive with Parliament, they're introducing cabinet secretaries to be members of Parliament, to be cabinet secretaries, and which means giving the executive that is already controlling Parliament a direct hand in Parliament, taking away judicial independence by introducing an ombudsman who is a sort of government inspector meaning that the independence of the judiciary is actually being assailed by BBI.
Right. Okay.
Much more.
All right. Okay. Mheshimiwa, you just have to bear with us. Let's take a very short break as we sort out the connection issues here in studio. And just stick around because we still have got lots more of questions to ask Honorable Martha Karua to answer to us matters BBI and matters Linda Katiba. She's going to handle that as well. So I beseech you to stick around. Don't go far away. We'll be right back after this short break.
Je, unajua haswa wakati huu wa COVID-19 unaweza wasiliana nasi kupitia 0800724499 au kwa kutumia barua pepe kwa comments@ira.go.ke. Unaweza pia kutembelea tovuti yetu kwa www.ira.go.ke au kwa mitandao ya kijamii. Sasa umejua, IRA, bima bora kwa taifa. Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
March, resist injustice. I'm moving much faster. When I make nothing stop me. Everybody needs someone to love. Everybody needs someone to give. They can stop my love now. None of them can stop my love now. A woman like you, oh, I don't deserve it.
Welcome back. This is The Viewpoint, and I'm glad to be joined by NARC Kenya Party leader Martha Karua. And just before we took a break, she was explaining to us why she has a stand that BBI is going to take Kenya back to dictatorship. And Mheshimiwa, just to give you a minute to finish on that point, why do you still have that stand that BBI is going to take Kenya back to dictatorship?
Firstly, the proposals, and secondly, the actions of the government leading to where we are now. We have seen that the proponents of BBI, who are none other than the president himself and his brother, the former, they have not availed copies of the proposal. So the people are being told about BBI and expected to participate, not from a point of information, but from a blindfold. And that's taking away the people's agency, because they're relying mainly on what they're being told. Yes, it is on the internet. The average Kenyan is struggling to put a meal on the table. Will they look for bundles and money to download and photocopy or read, or are they going to look for a meal for themselves and their families? So people have been denied the necessary information to be able to make decisions. And I've already said the intolerance exhibited by the proponents of BBI and the security agencies is reminiscent of the dark days during the KANU era. And that is just a hamburger of things to come. And I think also Kenyans need to know that the court has injuncted the IEBC from conducting a referendum until a case that is in court stopping BBI is determined. That ruling is coming this Thursday.
Yes.
It will also determine whether we move forward or we stop where we are. But if we are to move forward, Kenyans must demand copies, must know that instead of implementing the 2010 Constitution, and especially Article 43 on social and economic rights, which implementation would ensure no Kenyan would ever sleep hungry, because those without ability to feed themselves, the government is obligated by that section to give them social support. We know already that there is social support being given to the old people, being given to orphans, but it's not covering everybody. But what Article 43 dictates is that even those without jobs, without ability to have shelter, to have basics of life, government is obligated to give them social support. This is the article we should be implementing so that the jobless Kenyans, those vulnerable, should be able to get support from the government, not passing amendments that are giving people responsibility even before the government fulfills its obligations to the people, and also introducing an imperial presidency that will see authoritarianism become the norm.
All right. You talked about an imperial president, the rule, an autocratic kind of rule, and to a president who is not accountable. How is BBI going to bring this about?
Let me say this, that when the president is allowed to appoint cabinet secretaries without parliamentary approval, because currently all important posts are approved by Parliament. BBI is taking that away. So the president can appoint cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, without any approval by Parliament. That is restoring imperial powers. Parliament is the people's representative and is the watchdog that checks on what the executive is doing. Having the president or the executive's hand in the judiciary through the judicial ombudsman is control, introducing a measure of control or intrusion into the judiciary. And remember, the judiciary is the arbiter of any dispute, not only between citizens, but between citizens and those in authority. It really means a return to the dark days.
All right, Mheshimiwa, you have always stood your stand on the implementation of the 2010 Constitution, but not the BBI. What are some of the clauses, and what are some of the things you want implemented in the 2010 Constitution and BBI left aside?
Let me say that the Constitution has been disobeyed at every time.
Yes.
By seeking to amend, I have actually said even the collection of signatures itself was flawed. We are told this is a popular initiative, meaning it's a people's, not a government initiative.
Right.
If we are to say that the president and the former prime minister, being citizens just like us, are also the people and they can initiate, they should have collected signatures without recourse to state machinery like the provincial administration or state resources. So they are abusing the clause that allows for a people's initiative, yet it's a government initiative, government-led initiative, which should have come as a parliamentary initiative. That's flaw number one. And people will remember that when CORD led by the former Prime Minister, and those days now Kenya was supporting them, were their friends, when they wanted to amend the constitution, the Okoa Kenya initiative, they collected signatures themselves through their party networks. So a people's initiative should not use public resources or public machinery. Then we look at the intolerance that has been introduced or come along with BBI. If Kenyans will recall, those big BBI rallies, starting in Kisii, then going to Bukungu Stadium, on the same day, there was supposed to be a rally in Mumias for those who were against BBI. And we saw it violently broken up by police. Never mind that Bukungu and Mumias are almost 40 kilometers apart. So there was no need to stop any of the rallies. We saw members of parliament who were at that time saying no, being stopped from even meeting their constituents. And we saw that intolerance in the Kitui rally. We saw fracas in the Meru Stadium. So BBI has come with a lot of intolerance. We have even seen after the Baringo County Assembly voted no.
Right.
We saw police beginning to ask some members of the assembly to record statements, which can be interpreted as intimidation following the no vote in Baringo. So intolerance has been witnessed by Kenyans. And then you look around what the government is doing under cover of COVID. A lot of government-led evictions, especially in Nairobi, and most recently in Kwale. People are being left out in the cold. It's a cold season now, and there is a pandemic, and people are being evicted. In other words, government is creating a humanitarian crisis when they are the ones who should handle and assist Kenyans whenever there is a humanitarian crisis. So the writings are on the wall that these amendments, which will return excessive powers of the presidency, are a hamper to harsh days for Kenyans. We've also noticed that during this pandemic, the government has abandoned any support for Kenyans' health needs. It no longer supports treatment and testing for COVID. Kenyans are on their own, and this is causing a lot of suffering in families.
Yes.
Our health facilities, in spite of the huge amounts the government has received from partners and some in form of loans, our health facilities in the counties have not been improved to respond to the pandemic. All these are signs of the corruption that we have witnessed in the Ministry of Health and in other government sectors during the pandemic. So the pandemic has been an occasion for people within the establishment to enrich themselves. This is the return of the parasitic model of government, where the government and those in authority live on the sweat of Kenyans while denying Kenyans essential services.
Right.
That is what I'm calling a return to the dark days.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, you've also been quoted as saying that the BBI have everything that the politicians want, and they're happy about it.
In fact, that is the point that Kenyans must note, that BBI is not for Wanjiku, it's not for you. BBI is an agreement between certain top politicians who want more posts to share among them. So we are moving from 2 top posts, that is the post of president and deputy, and then adding 3 more posts, the post of the prime minister and 2 deputies. So to make the top posts 5 instead of 2, so that people can share this out. We are having an additional constituencies proposed by BBI, which again is irregular and unconstitutional, because the very constitution mandates the IEBC to delimit boundaries. And they're the only ones with a mandate to increase or reduce constituencies. For BBI proponents to propose 70 constituencies without public participating, because BBI never told us that we were discussing delimitation of constituencies. You'd have to first amend to allow the powers with IBC to be shared by others. But now proposing an amendment that brings in new constituencies without the IBC having a say in it, or the people having a say in it, without a criteria how they have arrived at the 70 constituencies, we are allowing gerrymandering or creation of constituencies, not to serve the people, but to satisfy the whims of the top political class.
All right. Mheshimiwa, in November last year, during a press conference, you were quoted as saying that the call for a referendum is illegitimate, illegal, and ill-timed. Do you still hold the same view?
Exactly. I hold that view. And I'm hoping that the court will pronounce itself on the matter. But ultimately, if we are told there has to be a referendum, power lies with the people, and the people need not feel powerless.
Yes.
The vote can do it.
Okay, so the process as is now, it's illegal according to you, because either way, the referendum is here with us. Once it's taken to the president for assent and IBC for necessary action. So do you still hold that view?
Yeah, I still hold that view.
Right.
If the court were to legitimize the process,
yes,
as a Kenyan, we will be bound by the court's ruling. Whatever the court says will bind us. And if we have to go to a referendum, then the final say is with the people of Kenya. And people must not feel powerless. Remember, the Constitution says sovereignty belongs to the people. It is the people who donate power to the executive. It is the people who donate power to parliament. It is the people who donate power to the court. People of Kenya can withdraw this power from a regime that does not appear to remember that they work for the people, not themselves. From a parliament that doesn't seem to remember that they work for the people, not themselves. So I think people's sovereignty should be demonstrated during the referendum. And the question they must be asking themselves is, have the leadership served us? If in the critical areas of health, of livelihoods, of security, you ask yourself those questions, and then you make the decision whether you're going to give the politicians control over your lives and give them the power to abuse their positions by creating increased positions to burden a country that is already ravaged by debts, while completely ignoring your health needs and your livelihood needs during a pandemic. And by the way, 14 million Kenyans are in danger of starving. It has already been reported. Should we spend money on BBI, or should we be looking after those critical needs, the livelihoods, the health of Kenyans, because the pandemic is a matter of life and death, the Kenyans on the brink of starvation, that's again, life and death matters. What are our priorities? That's the question that should be on our minds when we vote, if we come to voting for the BBI.
Right. Okay. Mheshimiwa, part of the points of the BBI, the agenda of the BBI is inclusivity. And you're talking about it's just a ploy for some people to have certain positions meant for them. Why do you think it's going to be so, and yet we have got affirmative action including it, we have got inclusivity, we have got equitable share of distribution of resources, and here you are completely against the document?
All those things are provided by the Constitution as we speak.
Yes.
So there is nothing new that is being brought other than the more seats for the politicians. And if today government wanted inclusivity, the Constitution facilitates them to do that.
Yes.
And how is BBI going to bring inclusivity? Kenya has 42 ethnic groups. How will 5 positions benefit 42? It is a question, maybe introducing domination of the 5 large tribes. I think that what we have in the 2010 Constitution brings inclusivity. Power has been devolved to the counties. We have 47 governors. If these governors were all to act in the best interest of Kenyans, Kenyans should feel change wherever they are.
Yes.
If the national government was to do its duty, there is inclusivity because power is devolved. BBI is a threat to devolution. You strengthen the presidency and you strengthen the center, then that works against devolution of power. We have seen the government imposing purchase of medical equipment to the counties, which equipment is not under use in most of the counties. It takes a huge chunk of their health budget, but they do not have the necessary personnel to run those equipment. And the reason is that although health is devolved, the government has consistently retained the bulk of the health money at the headquarters, just like they did with the COVID funds, starving the counties of the resources, both human and financial, to carry out their health mandate. So BBI is actually a threat to inclusivity and a threat to devolution.
Mheshimiwa, given a chance, what is one thing that you'd love to change in that document before it goes to a referendum?
I am against the entire document, so given the chance, I would throw it in the back burner and attend to the priorities of Kenyans. I would revamp the health services. I would spend money on our education system, on livelihoods, and I would spend money in ensuring not a single Kenyan sleeps hungry or starves. Kenya is a country is modeled on a family.
Right.
You do not lavish yourself on unnecessary things when a member of the family is starving or is sick. In fact, you may sell your car to get a member of the family treatment. Kenyans sell plots to get members of the family or their children to school. So if I'm sure a majority of Kenyans were asked their priorities, there would not be BBI.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, if I can quote you, in March this year, you said that you allege that BBI is used to extend the stay in power for President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is a huge allegation, Mheshimiwa. How sure about this?
Yeah. You have already, I even don't think that you can put it as an allegation. You have heard those close to the president saying he's too young to retire.
Right.
We are being given signals. We have
But
eyes.
that could be politics.
Like they say
That
in
could
the
be
Bible,
politics.
They have eyes, they will not see. They have ears, they will not hear. The game plan, and they've already let the cat out of the bag, is if the BBI passes, they will now say there is not enough time to prepare for elections. You can see that they are belatedly, after going to sleep for 3 years, because it's 3 years ago when the commissioners, 4 commissioners of IEBC resigned.
Yes.
But now, close to elections, is when the process of replacing those commissioners has started. So they'll be saying, we have new commissioners, we have new constituencies to limit this, we cannot do this within the remaining time. There is something cooking to extend both the president and parliament for a period. This is what we should watch out for and refuse, and assert ourselves, our sovereignty as Kenyans, and insist the constitution has to be followed to the letter and that elections must be on time. And that's why we must reject BBI.
Okay, let me say this. You said that handshake came, and you said that Kenyans completely lost the party, that is the opposition party, the minority party, and you said that the power of the opposition was completely eroded, and you said that you are not so sure whether Raila Odinga is the Raila Odinga that you knew in the past. And here he came for the handshake.
Let me say that I was one of the very early politicians, and to ask the president to talk to his brother, minister. And we were happy when they had the handshake because it brought calm to the country. We needed to have peace. We needed the tension dissolved so that we could continue nation building. And for that, we congratulated them. But that did not give them the power to ignore the wishes of the people and to drive a referendum that does not include the people, is not inclusive in its participation, even in the way they selected the BBI team. Everything has gone wrong from then, and we have lost the minority party in parliament. The opposition under the 2010 constitution is called the minority party. We have lost the watchdog. Instead of members of the minority party, which is the NASA coalition and ODM, we have had them becoming a praise choir for the government. They actually defend and articulate government policy better than the government. So instead of having the wishes of the people articulated, we have lost what the Constitution gives us, a vibrant multi-party democracy.
Yes.
Where there is a majority and a minority party. That's exactly what I meant. And I'm saying because the Right Honorable former Prime Minister was in the trenches.
Yes.
With Kenyans, including myself, fighting for the second liberation. And he has really fought for democracy in this country. I was saying I cannot recognize him in the present setup because I don't know how he can miss that the BBI project is actually a project against the liberties, the civil liberties in the 2010 Constitution, and it's a project taking us back to the dark days. That's what I meant.
During public participation, Mheshimiwa, were your views included in the document?
We actually, the first round, I led NAC Kenya to make contribution.
Right.
And the first thing we noted is that they were not properly constituted. They needed, the principals needed to go back to the drawing board to make it inclusive.
Yes.
And we made the point that even though at that time the Jubilee and ODM held, maybe even today held a majority of parliamentarians, and maybe were the two largest political formations. I'm not sure of Jubilee now because it's split. I was saying even if they have the largest political formations,
yes,
and at that time they carried most of the country, it was not right to proceed with a proposal to amend the Constitution without including others. So we were telling them, bring civil society, bring the political parties not represented. And because you cannot bring all of them, bring the umbrella body, the Center for Multi-Party Development. Bring civil society under the umbrella bodies. Bring religious groups. Because when you go alone, then it becomes a dictatorship and it becomes not inclusive as the Constitution demands, and it also doesn't become participatory. I was also supporting them on gender. The BBI committee did not comply and does not comply with the not more than two-thirds gender rule. So I was telling them, look at the parameters under Article 10 of the Constitution and make this initiative a truly Kenyan initiative. They never did that. So BBI is the project of the President and Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister. It is not a project of Kenyans.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, you are noted as one of the fighters of social injustice in the country. And according to you, has the BBI achieved the two-thirds gender rule and gender equality?
Not at all. It actually takes away the 47 women reps that are in the Constitution. Yes, it introduces gender parity in Senate, but the Senate that BBI proposes will be a weakened Senate. A Senate that cannot truly be the guardian of devolution.
Right.
Removing women from Parliament at a time they are seeking to introduce cabinet secretaries or ministers to be in Parliament is taking them away from the center of power. And Parliament is getting more strengthened to determine matters of money. It means there will be no gender equality in the one of the stronger house of the two houses of Parliament. And no mechanism has been given of how to ensure that women achieve the gender quota in Parliament. And when you look at what is going on, I would say they introduce parity in the Senate while taking it away in Parliament. So it is not pro-women. It is giving on one hand and withdrawing on the other.
Right. So what would have been your proposal in terms of gender balance instead of taking away the 47 members of 47 senators and 47 women representatives? What would have been your best proposal to this?
Implement the Constitution as it is. And the Constitution does not stop gender parity. It just gives the minimum threshold. Nothing stops political parties, Jubilee and ODM included, by ensuring that their candidates for Senate and their candidates for governors have equal numbers of men and women. Nothing stops the political parties from ensuring that their candidates for Parliament, their candidates for the county assemblies, have equal numbers of either gender. There are ways of ensuring gender parity even without constitutional amendments. And I will once again repeat, a country impoverished by debt, ravaged by a pandemic, is our priority spending money on unnecessary constitutional amendments? Or is it spending money on life-saving priorities for Kenyans, health and livelihoods, and education, which we need to prepare ourselves for today and tomorrow?
But Mheshimiwa, they said that they'll have another time to implement the Constitution, and the Amendment Bill of 2020 was just part of the process. The politicians, you know, you're politicians and you can run away with it. Are you seeing a situation where we'll have another moment after the referendum to have some kind of legal battle in the document?
No, but the chance we have as Kenyans is stopping it through the referendum, if it comes to that.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, where's Leader Katiba? We no longer hear you.
We are very much around, and we are very much saying no. And should the country be forced to undergo a referendum, you will hear us campaigning in every nook and cranny of this country. And perhaps you will then know that most Kenyans would like to preserve their constitution, and most Kenyans do not believe that the BBI is a priority. For me,
yes,
and for many in Linda Katiba, these are misplaced priorities.
Okay. Is Linda Katiba a branch of or an affiliation with the UDA and Deputy President William Ruto?
Why would that question arise? Because in all our pronouncements,
right,
have we said that? Why should it be suggested? This is an unfortunate narrative. People in the media, and that question is part of that unfortunate narrative you want to frame. Linda Katiba is what it says it is. A coalition of individuals and entities that defend the Constitution. We recognize that there may be other Kenyans in other spaces,
yes,
supporting the fight to retain our Constitution as it is. They are welcome and they are allies in this fight, but we are not part of any political formation. I thought you would ask me whether BBI is an affiliate of NARC Kenya. I am the leader of NARC Kenya.
Yes.
And that's the question you should be asking me. And I'll tell you that NARC Kenya is part of the groups that have formed Linda Katiba. It doesn't own it. The other political parties like Ukweli, like Movement for Growth and Democracy, and there are many others coming to join. So NARC Kenya, Linda Katiba is a loose coalition of all those who want to stand in defense of the Constitution. We retain our identities separate, yes, as political parties and as individuals. So there could be individuals in Linda Katiba who will have links with other political parties, with other political formations, and it is within their rights.
Right. So are we likely to see more of a spirited effort to campaign against the BBI as we head for a referendum?
I think that remains to be seen, yes, but we welcome anybody who feels that they would want to defend the Constitution as it is.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, as a senior counsel, let's just go back to the nomination of Martha Koome as the first female CJ in Kenya. We can talk about this over and over again. So far, have we made gains as a nation?
Sorry?
We have
so
got Martha Koome is soon taking the helm of the judiciary, and as female leaders, we have always talked about gender equality and pushing women to have those kind of strong seats in the national platform. So with Martha Koome coming to the judiciary, what are some of the changes do you think would you see her make in the judiciary?
I think it's a premature question because the process is still ongoing.
Yes.
The process of validation through parliament and all that. So I would hesitate to make any comments on the matter. I think we ought to patiently wait for the process to come to an end. It is through a competitive process, through merit. Let us wait for the process to end. But I must say Kenya is moving in the right direction without going beyond that.
Yes. And what are we likely to see about Martha Karua come 2022?
I've already said I'm ready, able, and willing to serve Kenyans. And I've already said that I'm working to be the governor of Kirinyaga to defend my vote, which was stolen in 2017. So I'm giving notice to those who do not believe in democratic elections that you not get away with stealing of the vote. And therefore, together with other Kenyans, we must work to ensure that we fix the electoral process. Kenya must make leaders through democratic elections, not computer-generated leaders.
All right. Mheshimiwa, in your own perspective, people say that the government is overborrowing and the wage bill is too high. What is your take on that? Yes,
the government is living beyond its means. and misapplying whatever funds they get. I've already talked about the COVID funds. I think this is an area that we need to look at, and we need to see that this government is not even capable of aligning the priorities of Kenyans to the available resources. And Parliament has failed in its duty because the executive doesn't manage the country on its own. It's with Parliament as a watchdog and as a body that approves even the borrowing of the government. We have lost the critical voice of Parliament, which has been emasculated. Members of Parliament have become a praise choir instead of interrogating the actions of government. And when I say praise choir, I mean they have largely become a praise choir. So we need Kenyans to be alert. And when thinking of the next leadership, think of a leadership that will encourage prudent spending and will prioritize the needs of Kenyans, not the needs of politicians. A government that is not encouraging a parasitic model where the weakest are carrying the heavy loads of the top level politicians.
Absolutely. And this one can never go about asking about corruption. It has been all over, and you have been one of the fighters against corruption in the country. On a scale of 1 to 100, how would you rate it?
I would think we are sinking in corruption, and the fight against corruption is not well demonstrated, and I think we could be doing at 25%.
Yes.
The effort. I would give 25% for the effort of fighting corruption, which means we are below par. Yes. There is a lot of talk in government, but very little action. We are not seeing conclusion of cases, and we are not even seeing enough prosecutions. There are people who have abused public funds, they are known, and they are still walking around, getting promotions or getting political spaces. From the NYS 1, NYS 2, from governors who have been accused of dipping their hands in the public till, from cabinet secretaries whose dockets are involved in scandals. We are not seeing any serious effort in fighting corruption. And that is one of the areas I would say our constitution has not been implemented. It gives sufficient direction on how to go about fighting corruption. It gives parameters of who should be a leader and how leaders should behave. We are not implementing. We want to blame our failures on the Constitution. Our failure is the failure of implementation, failure of respecting the rule of law and constitutionalism.
All right. Mheshimiwa, in just 1 minute, as I'm being told that we are stuck of time, what is your parting shot? And as you answer that, do you ever have a conversation with the president? When was the last time you talked?
No, because he's not available. So I haven't.
No, but you can have a direct link with the president.
No, I don't. I want to say to Kenyans, no, I don't.
Right.
And the last time I spoke to him, I think, was 2017, directly.
That's a long time ago.
Other than meeting him in a public forum. Because we must be very open about these things.
Yes.
Not pretend that we have access we don't. But publicly, I speak to Kenyans through forums like this.
Yes.
Through statements. So I suppose I've been speaking to him remotely.
Right. So given time and space to have a sit down with him, what are some of the things that you tell the president?
No, I've already said them. The things that I would tell him are the things I'm telling Kenyans, and I've already said them.
Okay.
But as a country, we need to pull up our socks. And I would say I'm disappointed that the priorities and needs of Kenyans are not being looked into.
Okay. So We are about to see you in Kirinyaga as you have it to battle it out with the rest of the candidates, and we wish you all the best as well. We have to leave it at that, Mheshimiwa. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, we can never have enough time when we're having a good chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, but allow me to remind us as Kenyans
go ahead.
That we have the power of the vote to change this country.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's called power to the people.
Thank you.
Power to the people. All right. That's a better way to end this conversation. We have been speaking with Martha Karua, who is the NARC Kenya party leader, and she has just given us her stand as far as BBI is concerned, and she is saying that we have the powers in our hands, and as a Kenyan, you go and make your own informed decision. All right, so at this point, we are taking a very short commercial break, but we are going to come back because Good Morning Kenya is still continuing. So as you take that coffee, as you move around a bit, let's take that break. We'll be right back after this break. Stick around.
Next on.
Subhanallah. Nataka unipigie zote pasi.
Hii suruali anaichoma.
Wewe nice kumlete wangu upige pasi ama uikague.
Mimi nataka uwe shahidi yangu bwana. Sije kesho akaja hapa akija akasema mimi ninamchomea suruali yake sikuichoma. Ameichoma. Wewe shahidi bwana.
Yaani suruali fuliwe, uletewe, itajichoma vipi? Muulize Aisha. Nimuulize nini Dobi?
Alileta ikiwa hivyo.
Huo nimechomeka.
Nilileta suruali ikiwa nzima. Haikuwa imechomeka popote.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
I am loaded now. Atito, I am never coming to clean your house again. You can now clean your smelling in gym clothes. You are smelling in bathroom. You are smelling in kitchen. You are smelling everything.
Shut up! Or better hope, you better let me know tomorrow so that I can bring you women clothing. You join the women's club. You win.
Julia. Julia.
Amo.
Video. Now, this thing needs patience and precision. When you go in too fast, of course, you will get tired very easily.
Too much speaking. Where are we going to get the and show us the action?
They say kutembea kwingi, kuona mengi. Uopie kine.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back to the program. Time for our next traffic link, and just as I promised, now we'll be looking at different other alternative routes, because what I'm really spotting right now, especially on this specific route, which is still our focus this morning, along Thika Superhighway, traffic really building up on this specific route. But again, it's just because of the obvious reasons, and also what I said earlier, it's one of those busy roads. I mean, given the fact that it also serves vehicles that come from the outskirts of Nairobi. These are counties like Kiambu, Embu, Meru there as you head over to the city center, and not forgetting the kind of businesses along the specific routes in terms of schools, also quite a number of them, estates, numerous. And this is also what led to the expansion of this specific route, and not forgetting also those foot bridges that they've tried to install on different designated areas. So just coming to the traffic flow again, you can remember that this was one of those routes which I had given earlier as your alternative if at all you're coming to CBD, where you get to branch off from the Thika Outer Ring overpass as you head over to Outer Ring Road, again coming with the same specific route on that particular lane. As you come to the city center via Outer Ring, you get to branch off to Juja Road, or even go further to areas around Jogo if at all you're coming to CBD. This is still how it is looking like this morning, at least not that of a heavy traffic like how Thika Road is looking like. So clearly you can still use this as your alternative if you are not yet past the Outer Ring, if you're not yet past the Thika Outer Ring overpass. overpass. After that, as you head over to the city center, heavy kind of traffic on that specific lane as you come to the CBD, and especially around areas of Survey, Kenya Utalii College, all the way through past Muthaiga, past Pangani. There are heavy gridlock, and this is why we are seeing that maroon color. But then again, also around these areas, it could be either next to areas around a bus terminus, areas around a mall. So, and also that also brings up those numerous, the busyness in this particular area. So this is how it's looking like still as of now, just as how it was looking like earlier. The heavy kind of gridlock, not moving at a standstill on some sections, moving at a very slow pace. And again, this is specific to that lane that is coming to the city center. So again, this continues all the way through, just as I mentioned, again, past Pangani, there past Muthaiga as well. So you can use this as one of your alternative routes. And this is again, if you're past those areas coming to CBD, because also on that section, just before you get to the Globe roundabout via Muranga Road, still that kind of heavy traffic being witnessed there. So this is the Pangani intersection. Past Pangani Girls. This is again one of those all the time. It always serves as a very good alternative route, especially for those coming from Thika Superhighway, and still can serve as a very good alternative route because this is how it's looking like right now in terms of traffic. At least it's green all through, and again, specific to that lane that is coming to the city center. This is what we are seeing there, green all through. So again, it just means you can use this where you get to branch off to Pangani there. That is around the Pangani Girls, coming all the way via Ngara, Ring Road Ngara there as you head over to the other side of city center. So you can use that as your alternative route. And also, if at all you are coming from CBD, you still can enjoy to this particular route as you head over to Thika Road instead of coming all the way through via Thika Superhighway, because again, like I mentioned, as well as on that section next to Muranga Road, thereabouts, also next to Fig Trees, still heavy kind of traffic being witnessed there. And this is also why we are seeing that red as well as the maroon color there. This actually continues all the way even next as you near the Globe roundabout, which is also again one of those busy roundabouts, given the fact that it branches off to major roads, which is what we're looking at this morning, as well as some slip roads, key among them again also being Kirinyaga Road, and this morning clearly the traffic also being witnessed there, really kind of heavy traffic. So this is why I was saying that you can use that as your alternative route. These are areas around, just as you get to branch off to the Pangani intersection there. And also, if you're not yet past that specific area, you can still get to use the Outer Ring Road as your alternative route, because right now on this section, it is not changing at all, just that kind of heavy traffic being witnessed there. But this is also why I said it's one of those busy roads as well as busy highways. So clearly that is why we are seeing the kind of traffic that we are spotting, and also not forgetting that schools are still reopening. So this is also one of those big reasons, or rather major reasons, as to why I would see the kind of traffic that we're seeing along this specific route. And this continues all the way, not changing at all, just at a standstill on some sections, moving at a very slow pace. The sad part, especially on this particular section, this is before you get to Muranga Road, there is actually that the traffic is being witnessed on both lanes. So on this specific route, when I'm talking about both lanes, just simply means as you leave areas around Thika Superhighway, coming all the way through, and also as you leave areas around City Center via the Globe roundabout, coming through Muranga Road as you head over to Thika Road there. So this is how it is looking like in terms of traffic this morning. We've just been trying to focus on what has been happening along Thika Superhighway, as well as trying to look at some better alternative routes for those that specific route, either going about their businesses or any kind of activities around the city center.
Welcome back. We are glad you have still chosen to continue this journey with us here on Good Morning Kenya. For those of you who are communicating with us on Twitter, we thoroughly appreciate you. Keep doing so. And remember to also let us know which part of Kenya you are watching us from using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is the official station handle. My handle is at Jane Wamboi. Now, just a bit of feedback that we have received from the previous conversation. I see Captain Kodrir saying in regards to the interview that my colleague colleague just had with Honorable Martha Karua, saying that she is better off as the governor of Kirinyaga as opposed to the incumbent. We also see Senior Stephen saying that this is why we need more women representation in top seats. She speaks the talk, and it's not a question of, fearing the powers that be in the state. Thank you so much for being part of that. We urge you to continue sharing with us your thoughts as we move on to this next part of the conversation. And this is all about the International Nurses Day that we are celebrating today. This is a day that is celebrated every year just to take stock of how far we have come with our nurses in the country. And we have two representatives with us in studio this morning to help us understand the situation here in our country. What are the achievements we have made so far? The challenges that we have been facing as a country before COVID, during COVID, and right now what we need to adjust to as we move on to this new normal that we are slowly but surely adjusting to. Now, let me just let you know who we have with us in studio this morning. And to my extreme left, we have Francis Ogola, who is the principal registered nurse under the Ministry of Health. Good morning, Francis. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. And closest to my left, we have Alice Muthoni, who is the acting deputy director in charge of nursing under the Ministry of Health. Good morning, Alice.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for being with us today. Now, the theme for this year of the International Nurses Day is Nurses, a Voice to Lead, a Vision for Future Healthcare. And this is more so ringing loud and clear in light of what we have seen for the better part of last year when we were dealing with COVID-19. And even now, as we continue to deal with COVID, what more can we do to make the profession, safer and tolerable and accommodating for our brothers and sisters who are in this particular field? Let me just start with you, Alice. Maybe for the benefit of our viewers, we could also just try and go back and understand, the journey of our nurses here in the country, and more so looking at the figures. Do we have statistics of the number of nurses that we have in our country?
Yes. Thank you. In nursing in Kenya and in globally, it has been developing quite for some times back. And today, as we are talking of the International Day of the Nurse,
yes,
we are remembering the founder of the modern nursing in the world, not in Kenya alone. So this is a day being celebrated globally by all the nurses in the world. And this is the day that was enacted in January 1974 by the International Congress of Nurses. And so from there we found that Florence Nightingale, who is the founder of nursing, went to a war battle where she started treating wounded soldiers with a lamp at night, and she led a team of 38 nurses. And actually she started formulating the modern technology of nursing, which now we have moved from where she left to where we are today, to now a more better nursing than what she had. A nursing with higher education, a nursing which has leaders who are nurses, and nurses who are decision makers, and are nurses who can listen and advocate for their patient.
Absolutely.
So in Kenya today, as we stand, we active nurses, we have around 49,574 nurses, active nurses, as per the records from the Nursing Council as up to December 2020.
Now, just looking at the uptake of nursing as a profession over the years, how has the trajectory been like from the population?
Initially, nursing used to become very popular, and people are really enrolling in high numbers, and especially in early 90s, the enrollment to MTCs was very high. We went further and started enrolling degree programs for nursing in various universities in Kenya, and the uptake was also very, very high. But now when the government stopped the direct recruitment and people started getting frustrated, you find the recruitment has started declining, but we are still encouraging our young Kenyans. Nursing is a noble profession. It's a scientific profession that we need to adhere to, that will bring sanity to the humanity, to the people we serve in the nation, because we are the mouthpiece of those who cannot talk. We alleviate suffering, and we are the amputee of those who cannot walk. And therefore, since we are the pillar and the backbone of the health sector globally, because we constitute 70% of the health workforce globally,
yes,
then we still need to encourage more nurses to take nursing, more young people to take nursing, so that we can be able to continue with this work, because it's noble to see somebody who could not walk. You have assisted that person to walk, and then he can be able to perform his duty. There's nothing that makes somebody happy like having assisted a patient who was not able to do something,
yes,
and finally you see the fruit of that person. There's nothing important like seeing a mother who has come with obstructed labor. You have managed that mother in labor who was screaming in pain until she has a live bouncing baby, and then the baby cries and the mother jumps and starts auto shouting and crying with a lot of joy.
Yes.
These are moments that nurses need to enjoy, and the whole world, yes, and the whole population should also celebrate with the nurses, because we help people to achieve all this.
Absolutely. And let me just come to you, Francis. Just maybe you could tell us a bit about, what is it about nursing and the medical space that got you interested in it in the first place?
Thank you very much. Basically, nursing is a helping profession, and it is a caring profession. And actually, it gives somebody joy to assist and to help somebody recover or live near to normal as much as possible.
Yes.
Okay, there are cases where you cannot bring back somebody to the normal, but if you bring somebody nearest to normal, that person has been assisted. Extreme cases are there where somebody has to pass away, but then this person passes away comfortably, knowing that this person was assisted. Those are key areas in nursing that makes it a noble profession.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And maybe from a gentleman's point of standing, for most of the people, when you talk about nurses, the first person that comes to mind is a female. And this is from the common Mwananchi. So maybe we'd like to hear from your point of interaction, from your point of experience, what is a day like for you out there in the field as a nurse?
Thank you very much. That is an interesting bit of it. I know, even me, when I joined,
yes,
when I joined college and I told people I'm doing nursing, it's like, are you sure you are doing nursing? Then I said yes.
Or you are being a doctor.
then somebody asked me, you are sure you are seeing women naked? Then I tell them, yes, I see them naked, especially when they are delivering. So those are to the public.
Yes. Opinions that we have.
Those are things that as a man you have to contend with. So I would say that it is interesting.
Yes.
But not regrettable. Because by the end of the day, one, it is work.
Yeah.
Two, it is a profession. Three, there is no written law that says this must be a lady and this must be a man. Basically, all that we hear are public opinion. Just like when you hear a doctor, you automatically see a man. So even in the hospitals, when patients come, they will call female doctor sister, and then the doctors will get irritated and say, no, I'm not sister. So,
I'm actually a doctor, yeah.
So those are there as public perception and public opinion. It is something that people grew in it, and this was also brought about by the missionaries. Most of the nuns ventured into nursing so much. And that's how the name sister also came in. So the public opinion has that, but professionally,
gender doesn't have any
gender
role
doesn't
to play
matter.
with that. Yes.
Gender doesn't matter, and we are okay with that, and we contend with that.
Yes.
On a day-to-day work, it is challenging anyway, because you have to strain all the way from morning when you come in up to the time you get off work. Nursing basically is labor intensive. You have to do it. There's nothing like you are going to make a call and say this. If it is inserting a catheter, you have to bend there and insert that catheter. If you have to deliver that lady, you have to bend there and make sure the baby comes out. So it is labor intensive.
Yes.
So basically, when you are, once you finish your work, you are just as tired as somebody who was in an industrial. Basically, sometimes we call it industry, especially when you are in labor ward. Yeah? Because or when you are in theater, you just call it industry because you have just to do and do and do until the results come out. So you end up being tired, you end up being exhausted, and a lot of times there is burnout. However, as you get the results, then you get a relief. You get a relief back. Yeah. So when you see that lady telling you thank you and holding her baby, you are relieved. When you see that the person who had a fracture telling you thank you, they are going home, then you are relieved. So it is both relieving and taxing.
All right. Now, let me also come to you, Alice. Maybe your experience, when, at least in the field, interacting with the patients on a daily, clearly gender stereotyping is still something that exists, especially among the population, because of our narratives, what we have believed growing up. A nurse should be this, a doctor should be this. But what has been your experience been like in the industry?
Okay, thank you, Chair. As he has said, nursing is labor intensive. And because this is not where you say, I'll take a pen and just write. We are very different from medical officers because our medical officers will come and they will depend more wholly on what the nurse has done and some of the decisions the nurses have done. That is what will drive them to make a diagnosis. A medical officer will only stay with a patient for only 5 minutes to 10 minutes. But a nurse will stay with the patient 24/7. And so you find that during this time of interaction, you're dealing with people with different conditions. Sometimes you found a patient came smiling, not knowing the condition the person is suffering from.
Yes.
It is very frustrating when you find probably a patient who walked in and they probably had internal bleeding, which was not diagnosed early, and you find you are doing last offices to that patient. You are sending that person to the mortuary. It demoralizes you in the course of, in line of duty. You feel demotivated, but you sit down and reflect and ask God, what do I need to do? Because there are other patients who are there. So you take the courage, now you move to the next patient. Other times you find that some relatives who come to see the patient because the nurse interact with the patients and the relatives. Because at every moment you find that you visit a hospital, the first person you meet is the nurse. When the relatives come, they meet the nurse who respond to all these queries surrounding them. With this burnout in this nurse, with all the complaints, they come. Any complaint in a hospital ends in the nurse's desk, not even in a medical officer's desk. And so you find that this kind of work sometimes create what he has called the burnout in the nurse. It also causes some frustrations. It also makes somebody feel, did I really make the right decision? But when you reflect back on yourself, you ask yourself, the hospital bed belongs to all of us. The hospital belongs to all of us because today I'm Alice Modoni, who is the acting deputy director. If I fall sick, that title just go off and I become a what? A patient. Truly, the hospital bed does not know the president, does not know anybody, because even right now, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, if he is admitted in any hospital, he just become a patient. We will not refer him the president. The first name will be the President of the Republic of Kenya. So it's actually challenging because you meet people of different status. Sometimes like now we are talking in a health setup where you find that probably you don't have even the right equipment to manage this person. So you find, what am I doing for this patient? I'm somehow handicapped. Other times, you find that the relatives, they come bouncing back to you as if you are the failure. Because I remember like an encounter, a mother came, a mother once went for a family planning service, and the husband has told her, I don't want another baby in this house of mine. But there was this man, unfortunately, we don't know what happened, whether she got the injection or not. She failed. And now the man comes now calling the wife, who is 7 months pregnant, draw the wife to the nurse because you are the cause of all this problem. But you are not the mechanism of the body. So the community need also to appreciate the role the nurses do. And if something happens, because in everything that we do, there are failures and successes.
All right. Now, allow me to just come in at that point. And I like the fact that you've mentioned the role of the nurse, because even as patients, we all come with our own opinions, what we think should be done, what I should expect in terms of service. I come with my own diagnosis, and most of the times, tunakuanga vichwa ngumu sana. We want to treat ourselves. And you find even by the time we're coming to the hospital, we have tried self-medicating and probably made things worse. Now, for the benefit of our viewer, once again, what are those roles that are a responsibility of the nurse in the hospital space, right from the time you interact with the patient?
Okay. Once you start interacting with the patient, the first thing is you greet the patient to allay anxiety. Because you must become a friend to the patient for the patient to be able to communicate what he or she has made that person come to the hospital. It's after you have established a relationship with the patient, which is very vital in the life and treatment, the patient will pour out what has brought him. This is where when you take the history and you take the right history, you'll be able to decipher the myths the patient has. You'll also be able to collect whatever medication, if there is wrong medication he has used, you'll be able to identify. You'll also be able to give the right health information to help this patient in the managing the condition the person has. And then you also be able to direct, if it's any treatment, the mode the patient is supposed to use. So you'll be able actually to be collectively and holistically to approach this patient in order to give the right information, in order to boost the quality of care for this patient the right way with the right approach.
Absolutely. Now, let me just come to you, Francis. You know, when it comes to dealing with troublesome patients, and maybe I'd like even to just hear from you, is this something that you are taught when you are in school about dealing with patients, especially those who just come with their own opinions, preconceived opinions? Some may be misguided, others could be guided, but they're just troublesome and they want things done the way they think should be done, as opposed to how you, as the medical practitioner in this case, knows things should be done. How do you handle such situations?
Thank you very much. Such situations are very common, especially currently when we have the technology. People do a lot of searching even before they come to the hospital. They have called almost all the people they know. They have headache, so they have been given all the opinion. If you have headache, it is this and the other one and the other one. They have also gone to the internet. They have read 1, 2, 3 about headache. So when they are coming, their minds are already clogged. So they would also expect you to follow the same direction.
Yes.
But note that by the time what they are expecting you to follow, they are already in the bush, because they have so much in their mind that they're in the bush, and you need to get them out of that bush to the road.
Yes.
That's where the challenge is. Actually, we are taught and trained on how to handle them. and especially the mental, the guys with the mental conditions.
Yes.
So the first thing, as a medical or as a nurse practitioner, is to be focused and patient. Yeah. Sometimes it just takes you time to just keep quiet and let them pour out. Yeah. So once they pour out, then you bring them down and tell them, okay, you have said all this, but now this is the direction. From what you have and what I've seen and what I've assessed, this is the direction I would want us to follow. Some of the challenges come with position. Somebody is maybe an MP, so they come with their MP to the hospital. Somebody is maybe a lawyer, so they come with their lawyer to the hospital. Somebody is maybe a director, so they come with their directorship to the hospital. So all these again play into the complexity of management of these clients.
Okay.
So at one point, you just have to hold. First of all, allow them. Pour out. So once they pour and they remain empty, then from that you pick and you give them,
up and return them back to the pad.
And you give them direction.
All right.
Yes.
Now that brings me to now this bigger bracket that is called the challenges that nurses get to experience. And I just want to start with you, Francis, at that point. And let's just start with the workload that is involved. They say that nurses are the backbone in the health system, the healthcare system. Paint a picture for us of, workload. When you talk about it as a challenge, what do we really mean?
Okay. When we talk about workload, it is in phases. Phase one is the number you are dealing with.
The number of patients?
The number of patients you are dealing with.
Okay.
So sometimes we have the official ratios, but in our situation, we go above those ratios. So you find sometimes one nurse has 60, 70 patients. And
this is in a day?
Yeah?
Yes.
And you have to serve all of them. Now, ideally, the procedure requires that you must pair. Yeah, we work like police anyway. You must pair the two of you per patient. But it is not workable, it is not practicable. Sometimes you have to work alone. So this brings certain challenges of legal issues. So if a lady accuses me to have touched her wrongly, then I don't have somebody to say, no, I was present and he did not touch her.
Inappropriately, yeah.
Inappropriately. So it is my word against
the patient's.
Patient's word. So that becomes a challenge, especially when you talk of numbers versus the practice. Then we have the working hours. Yeah. Ideally, you are supposed to work for maximum 7 hours. Yeah, from 7 to 1 or 8 to 2. That gives you a maximum concentration. But sometimes it is not possible because you find the shortage makes you now exceed that to
cover the next shift.
To cover the next shift.
Yeah.
Let's say if you started at 7, sometimes you go up to another 7 as you wait for the night nurse to come. Night nurse also will do up to 7. So phase 2 is now in terms of working hours. So you find that as a normal human being, for you to do that 12 hours continuously, you are also strained in the brain and physically.
Now, still looking at that aspect of, the workload that is involved, this was pre-COVID, and now looking at the COVID time, how did the workload challenge become even a bigger challenge? Because we were seeing complaints about shortage, especially when it comes to the staffing of nurses.
during COVID, it even became more complex because there was that some of the nurses had to go to the isolation. Okay, the facility is already strained.
Yes.
But still they had to release a number to the isolation. So if there were 10, they have remained 5. Yeah? So the 5 has training in the hospital, the other 5 has training in the isolation. And you know, the numbers in isolation was, well, initially they were so high. Yeah, they were so high because at that time anybody who was tested was rushed to isolation.
Yes.
The issue of home-based care had not been started. So the isolation centers were full. So it was also straining the nurses who are in the isolation center in terms of time and in terms of population. So that still gave a big shortage.
Okay. Now, let me come to you, Alice. You know, just looking at that aspect of shortage, what is it that is contributing to this shortage that we are seeing? Yet we have nurses that are going through the training process in itself and getting into the system. Where really is the disassociation from those that are in school and those that are in the industry practicing?
Okay, thank you, Chair. If we look at first of all, let us try to understand the economy of our country. The government is talking of a heavy wage bill. So you find that the government is not recruiting as it used to recruit for health workers and all civil servants. So with this trend, you find that the recruitment rate is lower despite the population is increasing. And so this will find that. And in recruitment, we also focus on issues like we have to consider we are replacing people who have retired. We have to replace those who have died. And so all cause of things that make staffs leave duty. So you find that if we cannot be able to replace that in a situation that had already shortage, then we are not able to meet the gaps of shortage in the economy. So we need to look at the economy of our country first as the pillar of all these issues, because we need to boost our economy so that we are able to hire more nurses or other medical or health workers so that we fill the gaps. So you find that and also it has also become very expensive that education, you find that most people are paying for their education in diplomas, and you know, before the government used to sponsor everything. So you find that also the uptake that is there is also a challenge, and the salaries also that the government offer, most people may feel they are not comfortable with the salary, and that's where you find that most nurses opt to go to abroad where they are paid better. And so you find the shortage is a big challenge moving around that. And we also need to look at the issue like now you have talked about COVID. We need to look at COVID as a pandemic, because pandemic usually consume heavy on the human resource. Because right now the COVID, the biggest cost challenge that came with the COVID, that we had to open extra intensive care units in the country. And this intensive care unit, remember the ratio of nurse to patient intensive care unit is 2 nurses to 1 patient. Now, if you fill the intensive care unit, it means you need more extra nurses to work in these areas. So this now brings another shortage around the whole globe. And actually, it remains a challenge, because also in our training capacity, we cannot say that we have trained enough to serve the population of Kenya. So we need still to do more, and we know how we are going to observe them and support them so that we can even achieve the universal health care.
Now, looking at the aspect of the education and the training bit, we live in a time where the employers in the market space are saying that, you know, most of the graduates that are coming out of institutions, they are not in touch with the industry per se. Is it the same situation in the nursing space? Those are coming from nursing school and getting to join the profession, the industry. Is there a disconnect where such that you have to like start from ground zero when it comes to teaching them on the job?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I would say yes, and I would say no. But we also need to appreciate a few things that are happening in our developing country. Because in the training of the nursing, you find that you are trained with the patient. But also the parents and the public has also played a key role.
Yeah.
Because sometimes back, it's only in the Ministry of Health where you did a course and you could not miss a job. And so, you see, sometimes this course, as we have stayed from the word go, it usually has some frustration when you see people dying. So not all of us are able to withstand a dead body.
Yeah.
Not all of us are able to withstand blood. But you, as a parent, you have told your daughter, your son, this is the course you are taking. This person will do the course because of the parent. When it comes to service delivery, this person will be very, very undermanned. And so you find that these are the people who just finish the course, they get out of the place. So these are some of the things that we are encountering because the student or the people joining the college should also be prepared to face the challenges, to adapt to the challenges, to grow with them, and be able to adapt even when situations go to the worst. Because we have reached a time now that we have to accept some things are reality. You know, even a long time ago, we never knew what it means to lose a relative. And so, because death is not inevitable, we now have to live with it. That means even if we work in a hospital setup, death is part of the activity that you have to encounter. And these are some of the challenges that we face.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let me come to you, Francis, and just to pick up from what Alice had mentioned, the question of pay, and consequently leading to a lot of brain drain here in the country, and not just Kenya, but so many other countries. How can we help the situation and avoid this state that we are in, where we are seeing some of our nurses not really comfortable with the pay that is being offered here and opt to go abroad for, you know, better opportunities, better pay and all? Brain drain is a big problem when it comes to us as a country. How can we help that situation?
Thank you, Chair. The issue of pay is, I can say, it is either a perception or a reality. True, in all professions, people are rarely comfortable with what they are getting.
Yes.
So just like one of the musicians from my place says, if you are given a bicycle today, tomorrow you want a motorbike. You are given a motorbike, you say, no, I want a car. You are given a car, now I want an aeroplane. No, you are given an aeroplane, now you want something to take you to where God is staying. So, human beings are I can say so. But that does the pay is as high. All we are paid as government officers according to job group. The only thing that differs is allowances here and there. There are some allowances that are specific to certain cadres and some are not specific. So that makes slightly difference in terms of pay.
Okay.
But for quite some time, nurses have not been fairly remunerated.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that SRC, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, has taken up and is working on it. So there has been a lot of meetings between Ministry of Health and SRC. So we are also waiting to see if that would give some results and attract more nurses, because the government pay also dictates what the private sector pays, especially within the Kenyan space. So if the government pays 50 shillings, then private sector would say 70, so that they attract. But by the end of the day, the countries abroad will now pay higher, and that would be at an expatriate scale. The only thing is that when you are there, if you're being paid in dollars, you are spending the dollar. What most of us really don't understand is that when you are told, if you're in the US, I'm going to pay you 30,000 US dollars, then you multiply it by 102 and you say, oh, this is big money. Forgetting that when you are paying rent there, you are paying in that dollar, not in Kenya shilling. Yeah? When you are boarding a vehicle or going to the supermarket, you are spending that dollar direct, not the Kenya shilling. So once you are there, then you realize there's not much difference, but now you cannot come back. You have to just train here and there to keep up. Because again now, once you go to US with that name, and then you want to come back, is like a demotion.
Yeah.
So the issue of pay is a bit...
it's neither here nor there.
It's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
However, we are advocating, like through SRC, so that nurses are also well remunerated to attract them and retain them within the country.
All right. Now, let's come to another aspect, and this is something that, you know, became very clear, especially with the advent of COVID-19, and this is mental health care for the nurses. There were reports that so many nurses are experiencing mental breakdowns from the long working hours, burnout, you know, dealing with death on such a higher rate that they were not prepared for in that time space. Looking at the aspect of mental health as a challenge, how is it being addressed? And, you know, is it something that was being addressed before the pandemic, or it is after the pandemic that we are really shifting focus to that conversation? Alice.
Thank you, Chair. Every situation that we encounter has its advantages or disadvantages in life. And it becomes a milestone of each and every moment of our life. The COVID-19 pandemic clearly exposed the true state of the health system of Kenya. How prepared we are, what we have, and what we don't have. And this has also become clear even to the public, because sometimes when we talk, somebody says you're exaggerating. But now the public can clearly say, yes, there is a problem, or there is a good way, and there is a step that is being done. The issue of burnout had not been taken. Okay, in the institutions, people could meet and share out to release the burnout as a group. But the issue of forming a group counseling section was not very much automated. But with the COVID-19, because of the psychological torture that occurred because of the pandemic, which is still in existence today, because actually what we are experiencing today with the health workers is not what we experienced with HIV. Because HIV brought the psychosocial support for the public, but not the health workers. But this time, we have now the psychosocial support for the health workers, the frontline people, so that we can help them to cope up, because it was even funded through Equity. They launched the psychosocial support program with the Ministry of Health, which was funded by Equity. It was launched in the National Nurses Association office, and so a team was fronted so that it can lead the program of supporting the nurses and other health workers, the whole country, so that we can be able to get a feel of what these people are going through, and we can be able to understand and help them to overcome the challenges, because actually it's very detrimental, especially when it comes to issue of psychological torture, because if all of us become psychiatric patient, who is going to manage the other?
Very good question right there. Mental health goes full circle. Just because they are in the medical space does not mean that we should also neglect the mental well-being of our nurses. We want to take a very quick breath, but we'll be back to continue with this conversation. Remember, we are focusing on the International Nurses Day that we are celebrating today, and we'll be back to pick up this conversation from that particular point. So do stay with us. Be back in a bit.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
March, march, resist injustice. I'm moving much faster. When I make nothing stop me. Everybody needs someone to love. Everybody needs someone to get. They can stop my love now. None of them can stop my love now. A woman like you, oh, I don't deserve it.
Next on.
Subhanallah. Nataka unipigie zote pasi.
Hii swala naichoma.
Wewe nice kumlete wangu upige pasi ama uikague.
Mimi nataka uwe shahidi yangu bwana. Sije kesho akaja hapa akija akasema mimi ninamchomea suruali yake sikuichoma. Ameichoma. Wewe shahidi bwana.
Yaani suruali fuliwe, uletewe, itajichoma vipi? Muulize Aisha. Nimuulize nini yeye Dobi?
Alileta ikiwa hivyo.
Huo nimechomeka.
Aka nilileta suruali ikiwa nzima. Haikuwa imechomeka popote.
Next on.
Habibi salamullah alayka.
Tuzungumzie funga ya 6 Shawwal na manufaa ambayo mtu anaweza kuyapata anapofunga funga hii.
Funge siku 6 katika mwezi wa Shawwali na tufanye ibada mbalimbali ile ataqarrubu ila Allah, kujikurubisha kwa Allah azza wa jalla katika huu mwezi wa Shawwal. Wabillahi
Welcome back. We are glad you are still with us. We want to continue with this conversation around the International Nurses Day, where the theme is the nurses, a voice to lead, a vision for future healthcare. And this is more so very loud and clear, especially during this COVID time that we are in. Just looking at the better part of the last year and a half, COVID has forced us as a population to shift our perceptions and how we, carry medical care in our country. And given that nurses are considered to be a backbone in the healthcare system, what better way to look at ways we can improve the healthcare system than through them as part of the value chain. Now, with us in studio this morning, we have Alice Mothoni, who is the Acting Deputy Director in charge of nursing under the Ministry of Health. And we also have Frances Ogola, who is a Principal Registered Nurse under the Ministry of Health. Thank you for still being with us. Now, let me come to you, Francis, just picking up from where we left, conversations around mental health. I'd also like to hear from you, from a nurse's point of standing. Why is mental health care for the nurses, why should it be considered as a priority, especially as we move forward as a country?
Thank you very much. One of the biggest question that even before COVID was being floated or was being asked is, who cares for the carer? Nurses are the carers, and who cares for them? So that's a question that has been there. But now, with the COVID, it was triggered. But I think, and some action now, some of the actionable points were now being realized. Because, as I said before, nursing is labor intensive. Stress and burnout are very common to the nurses. So, before COVID, in mental health, there is something we call implosion. Implosion means you are given a bang at once. If you bang something at once, it tends to burst.
Yes.
So this COVID came in with that bang. So one, it is a new disease. 2, it is a scaring disease. 3, the population is there, and it is a big population. So we have 3 bangs here, being new, being scaring, and a big population. So that gave a lot of stress to the nursing fraternity.
Yes.
So, and that is why the mechanisms for now counseling and taking care of the nurses came in. The stressors were in 2 prongs. One is on the family. Then 2 was on the work situation. Family, I mean, like when the COVID came in, you are released to a COVID center, then you are not expected to go back to your family because you are already in contact with the COVID clients. So you are somehow presumed to be infected even before you are tested, just by the fact that you are in contact. So you are not supposed to go back to your family. Even if you manage to go back, then you don't mix
for a certain period of time.
For a certain period. If you had 1 bedroom, then you have to get a kitchen somewhere to stay there.
Imagine that.
Until this period is over, so that you are declared safe. But it was not very easy to be declared safe, because again the following day you have to go back and work.
The same working space.
In the same working space. So the period keeps on extending. So the family keeps on wondering and also sympathizing, and they also stressed that our mother or our father may also go, because this disease is a killer. So all this compounded the situation. So you are also looking at your family, that is okay, as much as I'm working, how am I going to live in case? How am I going to leave my children? How am I going to leave my husband in case? So these in cases also kept on disturbing the nurses' minds. So then now the stressors, the work situation. Some of the clients were also quite arrogant. You know, as I told you, these people who fly, they come with very high egos. So simply because he came from US or she came from US, they make the matter worse, because now they think you should be serving them at another level.
Yeah.
That isolation was also stressing, because they are isolated. There is what they are expecting in the isolation, which the government may have not put in place, because this thing came in as a bang. So it's like they keep on making noise, and they keep on blaming and all this and all that. So then the clients in the isolation were also stressors, because they keep on, why am I here? Oh, this has not been done. Why couldn't you take me to hotel such a hotel.
Do you
Why
know who
are you
I
keeping
am?
me in KMTC? Do you know who I am? I'm supposed to have been in Norfolk, and all those things. But you see, all these now narrow down to the carer.
Yes.
So all this brought in the mental and the stressors to the nurses.
All right.
So
now, that's another reality that, we just sweep under the carpet because people come with their statuses to the doctors and the nurses' rooms, and we expect them to be treated as so. But I like the fact that you mentioned that whenever you are in the hospital space, you leave your titles out there. You become a patient. Now, as we draw nearer to a close of this conversation, given that health is a devolved unit, both the county and the national governments have a role to play when it comes to protecting and ensuring that the nurses are well cared for, even as they go about, delivering their duties and responsibilities. From where you stand, what more can be done in terms of investing when it comes to protecting the nurses and investing in the healthcare system so that they are working with systems that work? Embracing things like technology to harmonize even records of patients from different parts of the counties. You don't have to struggle with a phone call to just get information about this patient who was from a different county. Things like those when it comes to investing. How can the county and national governments come in?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I think we need to look at what is happening in the world today. And as we said from the word go, the key thing that need to improve the health sector and the nurses in general, we need a policy that will enhance leadership of nurses. We need nurses to be recognized in leadership and decision making because they serve as the backbone of the country. And in this, I mean that if it's in the management in the hospital, let the nurses be the lead people in making the decision, because they are the people who understand the patient from morning to the evening. They also understand all the other departments. Remember, in the matrix of our healthcare system, where we talk about quality healthcare, which is efficiency, effective and timely, the nurse must be involved. There is no single department in a hospital, either physiotherapy, occupational therapy, laboratory will ever work without a nurse.
True.
So therefore, the nurse need to be there in this decision making. The other thing we need to improve most high is the improved high education for nurses. We need to recognize that we have moved from the certificate level, and we need to embrace that our nurses in the country have done to PhD level.
Oh, yes.
And these nurses need to be included and they need to be considered and employed by the government so that the skills they have, they can be impacted in the health system for the benefit of the Republic of Kenya. We also need to embrace the new technologies that are coming from the world, because if you check on when WHO was talking about 2020 being the year of the nurse, it's because they had seen the role the nurses play globally. And actually they have urged all countries, can we put the nurses in the leadership position so that they can help in making this decision. And they have also played a role. They are saying we need nurses, the entry point of nursing to be the degree level, because we need people who have education, people who can listen, people who can make informed choice without interference of other person, and people will stand for the position they require and do the right thing, the right time, so that everything they plan, they can be able to put the system and the right systems in place. So either from the national government down to the county, we need this matrix to be intertwined by all levels, by high-skilled professional nurses with leadership capabilities, so that we can be able to move as a system.
All right.
And also supply of the necessary commodities to ensure service delivery is accomplished the right way.
And I like that you mentioned the supply of the necessary tools that especially nurses need, because protective equipment was such a conversation and still is in light of COVID-19. But let me come to you, Francis. As we mark this day, the International Nurses Day, what would be your message to the public and your fellow nurses in terms of how far we have come and how far we have to go and the role that we all have to play in this medical space?
Thank you very much. Let me start with the public. And my message to the public is that nurses are ready to serve them. They only need to cooperate and work together with the nurses for a better service. To the nurses are servants. They are called to serve. And nursing is a calling. So let them uphold that principle and give quality and better service to the public.
All right. Your message as well, Alice, as we close this conversation, again to the greater public, the nurses, and even the government for that matter.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The message, first of all, to the government is to embrace nursing leadership in all the positions in the government, especially in the from the Minister of Health down to the county level. And to the public, we are here to serve the public. We are here to journey with them, and we are not to leave them just like that, because we are also part of the population of Kenya, and we are not here to leave our economy being drained by disease burden. So we are standing with the government and the Republic of Kenya. And to my fellow nurses, I salute all of them because they are heroes. They are commanders, and they have made it, and they have shown truly they can lead, and they can achieve, and they can deliver. Because if it was not for their giving the service they have given, we wouldn't have won the battle of COVID-19 to where we are today. We would be talking of something different. Actually, I salute all of them because they are heroes.
Absolutely. Well, from wherever you are, if you are a nurse, we do salute you. We see what you have been doing for us as a population. In as much as we might not be an easy lot to deal with, we still cannot do without you as part of our population. And that brings us to a close of this conversation. Remember, we have been looking at this day that we are marking. It is the 12th of May, a day that has been set aside internationally to celebrate our nurses. This has been so since 1974, when it was first officially instituted to just embrace and acknowledge the work that our nurses are doing. The theme for this year is a voice to lead, a vision for future healthcare, and of course the nurses, being the backbone of the healthcare system, have a voice and a huge role to play when it comes to the future of our healthcare system. With us in studio this morning, we have been speaking with Alice Muthoni, who is the Acting Deputy Director in charge of nursing under the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much, Alice. And we have also been speaking with Francis Ogola, who is the Principal Registered Nurse under the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much, Francis.
Thank you very much.
We wish you the very best and a happy International Nurses Day. As you mark this day, we celebrate you guys.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we want to put a cap on Good Morning Kenya. And again, we appreciate you for being part of this discussion. Vincent Ouma hapa anasema propaganda ya BBI will be drilled into our heads, promising heaven and earth. Those opposed will be demonized and described as disgruntled elements. This is feedback from the previous conversation that my colleague had with Martha Karua. Jacqueline Hill saying we need to do away with this perception that we have about nurses, that they are only supposed to be women. Again, stereotyping that is in the society. Let me see. Ben Kamote na kuona hapo retweeting our feeds. Selector Arafat, we appreciate all you guys for being with us from the beginning up until now. Evans Serede, I also see you. Thank you so much for being part of Good Morning Kenya. On behalf of the crew here, we want to wish you a lovely day ahead. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Jen Mamboy. See you tomorrow.
92.9. Hii ni KBC Radio Taifa.
Kila kitu maishani kina sauti yaleta furaha.
Radio.
Sauti ya elimisha, yahimiza, yatuleta pamoja. Sauti ya Kenya.
Radio Taifa.
Sauti ya Kenya.
Next on.
Subhanallah. Nataka unipigie zote pasi.
Hii swala anaichoma.
Wewe naye siku nilete wangu upige pasi ama uikague.
Mimi nataka uwe shahidi yangu bwana. Sije kesho akaja hapa akija akasema mimi ninamchomea suruali yake sikuichoma. Ameichoma. Be shahidi bwana.
Yaani suruali ifuliwe, uletewe, itajichoma vipi? Muulize nimuulize nini yeye Dobi?
Alileta ikiwa hivyo.
Huo nimechomeka.
Aka nilileta suruali ikiwa nzima. Haikuwa imechomeka popote.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
I am loaded now. Atito, I am never coming to clean your house again. You can now clean your smelling in gym clothes. You are smelling in bathroom. You are smelling in kitchen. You are smelling everything.
Shut up! Or better off, you better let me know tomorrow so that I can bring you women clothing. You join the women's club. You win.
Julia. Julia.
Amo.
Wijo. This thing needs patience and precision. When you go in too fast, of course you will get tired very easily.
Too much speaking. Why can't you get the and show us the action?
They say kutembea kwingi kuona mengi. Uopie kime.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Piga kona maridadi kweli kweli, dao kichwa, goal!
He should have been nicknamed the Cobra for the way he reared up to strike the goals just like the venomous snake does when challenging its opponent. But the name had already been given to Paul Oduo. They opted for the Rhino instead for the sturdy man who rose as high as he could to head home any ball within his reach in a lethal strike. He is better known as Peter Dao, Kenya's football heading expert. Peter Dao was born in 1962 in Kericho, where he honed his sporting skills.
I schooled in Kericho. I did my primary school at Highlands Primary School up to Standard 6, which was 1976. So I moved to Area Boys in Kisumu. That was in 1977 where I did my CPA. Then I proceeded for my secondary school in St. Mary's Yala, where I did my O levels in 82. All along, I've been playing football at that level. Actually started playing football in my primary school. In fact, I started as a goalkeeper. And you see, I was playing both hockey and football at the same time. So when football actually got so much in our schools, so I stopped playing hockey. Then nikaendelea na football as a goalkeeper. So baadaye nikaenda secondary is when I actually started playing as a striker.
He later discovered his striking abilities where his head came in handy and was quickly snapped up by Gor Mahia after watching him steal the show with RTI during the Kikoso Games.
I joined Gor Mahia in 1986. In fact, they actually got my talent when I was playing for the Railway Training Institute. That was Kenya Railways during the Kikoso Games, which was in Meru. So I emerged the top scorer that time for the railway team with 10 goals to my credit.
The new signing quickly bore fruit a year later when Gor Mahia became the only club in East and Central Africa to win an Africa title, the Africa Cup Winners' Cup against Esperance of Tunisia, whom they beat on away goals here in Nairobi after a 3-all aggregate, thanks to Peter Dawo's goal-scoring spree.
My days with the Gor Mahia was not very bad as we took the Mandela Cup in 1987. It was not a bad time with the club. And in the whole tournament had 9 goals to my credit.
Na Kenya imeweka historia katika ulimwengu wa michezo.
Na hivyo basi ndivyo mambo yalivyokuwa, kwani Peter Dao hapo alijaribu kupita na huo mpira ukamtoka.
That feat saw him being voted as one of the best players in Africa, together with Ambrose Ayoyi, as well as earned him a call-up to the national soccer team Harambee Stars, where he did not disappoint.
My most memorable match was when we played against Malawi. We were losing and we were playing at Nyayo Stadium, and I don't know what actually happened. The lights went off and the match was replayed the following day, and we beat Malawi when there was a replay of the same game the following day.
Dao hoped to repeat their 1987 feat in the 1989 Cup Winners' Cup, but it was not to be.
My worst announcement with the team was that was the following year when we actually reached the quarterfinals of the same cup, when we lost to Entente of Congo. Away we were beaten 4-0.
The legendary striker had his moments too in Gor Mahia's intense battles on the pitch with their arch-rivals FC Leopards, which also left him limping but still standing tall nevertheless.
What I could recall is like during our times when we used to play FC Leopards, people used to be at the stadium by 9 o'clock in the morning, which is actually not happening now. And the clubs having tension when they are playing, it actually brought a lot of crowd to the stadium, because you know rivalry actually inasaidia team zote mbili, because kama kuna ile tension ile both teams, then hakuna ile ni nzuri sana football.
He was one of the first Kenyans to turn professional in 1990 when he left Harambee Stars to pursue a career with Arab contractors in Egypt. He also played briefly for Al Shaab in Oman.
Yeah, it was not easy because the type of play with the Arab countries and with the Kenyan football was not actually the same. I wished I could have gone to Europe, but I had a chance to go to Egypt. So I had a stint there for 1 year. Then I came back, things could not work well, so I left after a year, but it was not bad there.
That was a short stint in the north, which saw him come back home to rejoin his former club Gor Mahia and spearheaded them to the 1991 League Cup before quitting the sport altogether due to frustrations.
I think because of the management was not actually good, because players were going without, let's say, allowances, and playing football without the allowances. I was seeing it was like not anything good for me.
Peter Dao, the little header, is however impressed by the current resurgence of his former club Gor Mahia, who've enjoyed a good run in the Kenya Premier League and bringing back the passion of the yesteryears.
2-0 would be the scoreline. The donkey work having been done by Lavata from the right side, leaving Nahimana short of breath. And the clearance not done, but Abbas Chema.
My comment about the club now, it should just keep to that. It should just keep to that, because without my former club maybe being in the Premier League, you're seeing like the fans are getting out of the stadium. Now that they're coming back, and I also wish their counterparts, the FC Leopards, to come back and find everybody coming back to watch football.
The high-caliber player, who also worked for Kenya Railways for 21 years, is now retired and hopes his legacy will carry on with the current generation, who include his 2 boys and 3 girls.
In my family, I have a boy called Anthony. Anthony Dow is in Forma now. He studies in St. Mary's Academy in Durham. He's also a striker, and I hope he'll follow my footsteps. Like for us now, if the government never took care of us very well, and the young kids would really, if they really wanted to be us to be their role models, imekuwa ngumu sana, because wakikuangalia vile huko, maybe you're a pauper now, alafu unasema kama Dawa alicheza vile na yuko hivi, I would not want. Ndio saizi tuna encourage wale wanacheza saizi wacheze vizuri, then our now football has become lucrative now. We follow their footsteps. Now it has become professional. During our time, it was not professional because you find more or less like 3/4 of the team had jobs. But now you see like football is your job now, and it has money. Because I can remember when we were actually playing for the national team, we used to be paid 50 shillings a day. Now how much are they getting in the national team? A lot of money. But we actually playing football because we loved the country.
And that's Peter Dao, Kenya's legendary heading expert in the game of soccer, who's also regarded in high esteem not only in Kenya, but by the Confederation of African Football, who've put him on the echelons of Africa's elite list as one of the best players to emerge from the continent in the 80s and 90s, just like the legendary Roger Miller of Cameroon and George Weah of Liberia.
It felt so good being recognized like that, but you see, being recognized without any monetary, any physical recognition doesn't make any sense. Because if somebody tells you, oh, you're a top scorer, you're a good player, and somebody tells you thanks, so I'm still having the thanks up to now, but I'm actually not feeling good. I'm not feeling good like being maybe named the top scorer in Africa, but without any physical thanks. I don't feel good, because we played for many years and we have a lot of thanks. Na hizo thanks zote tumekuwa nazo haijasaidia kabisa. May appeal is to the government to actually recognize the former sport heroes, monetary or anything tangible.
Skiza tune hii curfew, dial star 811 star 816 hash.
Wewe, nitarutisha simu yako tu sahi. Nakimbia mbio, nimetolewa mbio. Unajua curfew ile nipata kwa njia. Nimepita kwa ratibu kama risasi kuliko hata risasi mbio. Lakini sasa hivi niko karibu nyumbani bwana. Nitakupiga nikifika nyumbani. Wewe unajua curfew sitaki polisi wanishike. Nitakupiga.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya curfew, dial star 811 star 816 hash. Star 811 star 816 hash. Life is uncertain. Even if your regular income has been affected, you can still talk to your insurance service provider and convert your policy to a paid-up policy. You will not be required to pay further premiums, and your insurer will still be liable for the benefits payable under this option. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured. Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Resist injustice. I'm moving much faster. When I make nothing stop me. Everybody needs someone to love. Everybody needs someone to get. They can stop my love now. None of them can stop my love now. A woman like you, oh, I don't deserve it.
Next on.
Subhanallah. Nataka unipigie zote pasi.
Hii swala anaichoma.
Wewe naye siku mlete wangu upige pasi ama uikague.
Mimi nataka uwe shahidi yangu bwana. Sije kesho akaja hapa akija akasema mimi ninamchomea suruali yake sikuichoma. Ameichoma. Wewe shahidi bwana.
Yaani suruali ifuliwe, uletewe, itajichoma vipi? Muulize Aisha. Nimuulize nini Dobi?
Alileta ikiwa hivyo Yusuf.
Huo nimechomeka.
Aka nilileta suruali ikiwa nzima. Haikuwa imechomeka popote.
Next on
Habibi salamullah alayka.
Tuzungumzie funga ya 6 Shawwal na manufaa ambayo mtu anaweza kuyapata anapofunga funga hii.
Funge siku 6 katika mwezi wa Shawwali na tufanye ibada mbalimbali ile ataqarrubu ila Allah, kujikurubisha kwa Allah azza wa jalla katika huu mwezi wa Shawwal. Wa billahi tawfiq.
Insurance Regulatory Authority IRA. Je, wajua kuwa unaweza ukapata bima punde tu baada ya kulipa mchango wako wa bima? Hakikisha kuwa umechukua bima upya na kulipa mchango wako wa bima kwa wakati ili kuepuka kunyimwa huduma za bima. Angalia vizuri tarehe ya mwisho ya bima yako na utume mchango wako kwa wakati ufao. Sasa wajua, ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Insurance Regulatory Authority. IRA inastawisha bima, inalinda waliochukua bima. Je, wajua kuwa hati ya bima ndiyo
Can't hear you. Okay, Senator Uta. Okay, Senator Uta.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what time are we going to be able to retreat and consider the application from, because if do we have to wait until they be able to do the application? I just need what time are we supposed to retreat and consider the case before us of the new witnesses?
I'm proposing, because of strict timelines,
yeah,
we can deal with the PO this morning, but the other one, Dr. Keller, are we together? The other one on witnesses, we can advise that we give the ruling after lunch. Is that in order?
Yeah,
because the PO, we already know that you can't inject us. So we could even rule on it and give reasons in the afternoon.
That is before their submission.
So for the PO,
yeah,
we can actually retreat to the back room. It will not take long. We retreat to the back room, not more than 10 minutes. Then we'll come and deliver it. The one of witnesses, I'll direct that we will deliver the ruling after lunch.
Okay.
Is that in order?
That's in order, but also I want to, through chair.
Pardon?
Through chair, we really need to, I don't know about visual, you know, it's really interfering with the flow of the committee. So if all the members could be present, you know, like now I can't even hear what Senator Sakaja is saying. He can't hear us. You know, that will really buy you more time. And if all of us can be present physically, because that opportunity is there. It's just my request.
In fact, we did pass a resolution that this hearing will not be through virtual. So we just accommodated him for this meeting. From 10 o'clock, it's going to be physical and nothing else. So that being the case, I think we don't have much time. We can retreat. We allow them to come and settle, and then we come back. So we give them the next 5 minutes. They come and occupy their seats. Senators, we can squeeze to the speaker's gallery behind here. Then we'll resume our seats once they have sat. Sawa.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
I am Lottie now. Atito, I am never coming to clean your house again. You can now clean your smelling in gym clothes. You are smelling in bathroom. You are smelling in kitchen. You are smelling everything.
Shut up! Or better hope, you better let me know tomorrow so that I can bring you women clothing. You join the women's club. You win.
Julia. Julia.
Amo.
You win. Now, this thing need patience and precision. When you go in too fast, of course, you will get tired very easily.
Too much speaking. Where are we going to get the and show us the action?
They say kutembea kwingi kuona mengi.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Sehemu mnayoiona pamoja na jumba hili hapa ni ya kwangu binafsi. Ni mali yangu. I own this property.
Unajua yule best yako, sijui ilipokuja tukatengana na yeye, lakini hakuna ubaya wote ambao sisi tumekosiana labda tukapigana ama nini.
Ashamsa, hebu niachie na mimi nitambe na Abdalla hata kama kidogo. Nikukumbusha nafasi yako. Wajisahau.
Sasa, Shamsa.
Toka wewe.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Juma hili kwenye Mkulima tutajumuika naye rafiki wa binadamu na kujifunza mawili matatu.
Kununua mbwa si shida, lakini ukiwa naye ndio sasa utajua kazi wafaa kupitia. Kwanza wakiwa wakati ya miezi 3 na miezi 6. Kama ni dogi wa nje itakuwa rahisi kwako, kama ni dogi wa ndani itakuwa ngumu sana kwako.
Basi usikose kujiunga nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1.
tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Unaonekana kama mgeni wewe?
Nimeingia leo hapa kijijini.
Wazungu wasema new arrival.
Yaitwa kasichana.
Nako kasichana kweli. Kaangalie. I want you to be my husband. Sasa yani roho yangu haifanye kazi.
Wewe msichana naye watokea za wapi? Kuna matatizo yangu ndio maana ninakuja huko kijijini.
Mimi ni chief kisha ni kansela. Mimi ndiye DC wa hapa na ndiye sub chief wa hapa. Na sijachagua hata chief. Ninafukuzwa State House jana.
Wewe wafanya nini na msichana?
Wazungu sema it's okay. It's okay.
Unichukulie kwa mfano ndani ya matatu.
Yaani mtu mzima na miaka zake hizo miaka zote. Mtu ajui kujua kuandika note. Note tu peke yake. Kusoma kweli itasaidia.
Jana nini nakusumbua na nini?
Nauliza. Ni bwana.
There. It's not okay.
Mama yangu.
Haya, kwani wewe nini wewe? Yaani
the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Mohammed Mohammed, Governor of Wajir County. First, members, as you know, we live in very extraordinary times. We have the COVID pandemic. If you look at the sitting arrangements, we have put stickers on where you should sit and create space. We expect you to observe that social distance during the entire session of these sittings. We also want you to abide by the Ministry of Health guidelines. Keep your mask on at all times during these proceedings. At no time should your mask be off during the proceedings. In front of you, we have extended courtesy by putting a bottle of sanitizer on the table in front of you. When you handle documents, please do sanitize. So we really want to urge you to strictly observe the Ministry of Health guidelines. This is a Senate sitting. We are guided by our standing orders, and we expect everybody appearing before us to handle themselves with the decorum and extend mutual respect to each other. So we hope that we will have very gentleman and gentle lady kind of proceedings where we extend mutual respect to each other. My name is Okongo Omogeni. I'm the chair of these proceedings, and I have a team of 10 members. I'll ask them to introduce themselves. I will start with members on the front row, starting with Senator Linturi, and then we go to the left.
I'm Medika Linturi, Senator Meru County, and a member of this special committee.
I'm Agnes Kavindu Mudhama,
Senator from Machakos County and a member for this committee.
I'm Engineer Godana Harugura, Senator Marsabit County, member of the... Senator Uta?
Senator Fred Uta, Senator for Kisumu County, a member of this special committee.
Senator Susan?
Good morning. I'm Senator Susan Kihika, Senator for Nakuru County and the Vice Chairperson of the committee.
Thank you. Senator Petronira?
Good morning. I'm Senator Petronila Were Lokorio, a member of this committee from Baringo County.
Senator Issa?
Good morning. Good morning to you all. My name is Senator Issa Juma Boy, Senator for Kwale County and a member of this committee.
Senator Zawadi?
Good morning. I'm Christine Zawadi, Senator from Kilifi County and also a member of this special committee. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have two senators who will be joining us later on. I also want to introduce with you our secretariat team, which is led by Dr. Okello, and I'll ask Dr. Okello to introduce members of secretariat. Dr. Okello.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Okello, Director, Legal Services. With me, we have our secretariat team, including Brenda Ogembo. We have Mary Chesire, Deputy Director. We have Lorna Okach, our researcher. We have Lucy Radoli at the far end, our legal counsel. We have Josephine Kusinyi, our legal counsel. We have Sylvia, our clerk, and we have others around, Sergeant at Arms. So we are quite a number. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I also want to remind our guests that it's the policy of any Senate proceedings that you switch off your phones or you keep them on silent mode so that they don't ring in the course of the proceedings. Now, I want now to request the members of the county assembly or the person representing the county assembly to introduce themselves and their team. Thank you. County Assembly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. I lead the legal team representing the County Assembly of Wajir. I'm assisted by two of my learned friends. One is Mrs. Hanan Al-Kathiri, and the other one is Ms. Wangoi. In addition to that, Mr. Chairman, I have...
Senior Counsel, you'll excuse us. We didn't get their names properly.
Yes.
Our answer need to capture them properly.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, sorry for that. One is Hanan. Hanan is her name.
Hanan, like Kofi Annan?
Not with A, but with H.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the second one is Miss Wangoi, Elizabeth.
Okay. I think we have gotten them now. Thank you.
And do I have to introduce the witnesses?
The team, we had requested the team, the three who are representing the county assembly. Yes. If you are the lead, you can introduce them. Or you can ask their team leader to introduce them, whichever is convenient.
Yes, I think the team leader is just behind me. He can introduce the members.
Okay.
Chair. And thank you, Chair. My name is Honorable Abdullahi
Chair. Yes, Chair. Somebody is raising something? Yes. Yes, Senator
Just
Rugura.
for the purpose of Hansard, it will be proper if all of them speak to the microphone so that it's recorded.
Okay, I'm told it will be easier for our answer if you allowed the others to speak for themselves. So you can say your name and then you'll ask the others to introduce themselves. They speak to the mic.
And thank you, Chair. My name is Honorable Abdullahi Isaac Mohammed, mover of the motion, and they are behind my colleagues. They will introduce themselves.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Honorable Shoaib Barre Ahmed, the MCA for DIF, and the seconder for this motion. Thank you.
You are only two?
Our colleague Hussein is coming. He's on his way. He'll be joining us soon.
Okay, that's very well, very well. Yes. Senator Rugura.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Mohammed. I'm the MCA for DIF, and the seconder for this motion. Thank you.
Okay, that's very well, very well. Okay, I think then we now go to the side of Governor. So either the Governor or your council, may you introduce your team?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Ambassador Mohammed Abdi Mahmoud, the Governor. With me are my legal team, and they will introduce themselves. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, good morning.
Morning, Council.
My name's Paul Nyamodi, and I lead the legal team. We are 4 council altogether for the Governor. My colleagues will introduce themselves.
Thank you.
Morning, Chair and the members of the committee. My name is Ndegwa Njiro. I appear for the Governor together with my senior learned friend, Mr. Nyamondi, in defense.
Thank you.
We appreciate to be before you.
Good morning, committee members and the chair. My name is Charles Mwangi Ndegwa, an advocate together with my seniors.
Thank
Good morning, members of the committee and the chair. My name is Patrick Baraza. I'm within the...
Can you be a bit louder, please, so that we can hear you?
My name is Patrick Baraza. I'm part of the legal team for the Governor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Governor, any witnesses from your end?
Yeah, Chairman,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I'm Abdullah Hassan, Secretary, one of the witnesses for the committee.
Oh, okay. Yes. I was struggling to locate you.
Okay. Abdullah Hassan Maalim is my name, the county secretary and a witness.
Okay. Any other? That's one. So we presume you are the only witness.
I think some of them, Chair, they are seated at the gallery.
Huh? Pardon?
Some of them are seated at the gallery.
Oh, they are seated at the gallery?
Yeah.
Okay, sawa. Then that's okay. I think we are trying to manage the numbers we can accommodate here. I think that is it then with the introduction. And I would like to make some communication before we commence the proceedings. Honorable Senators, ladies and gentlemen, the Special Committee on the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Wajir County was established on Tuesday, 11th May 2021 by resolution of the Senate. The Special Committee is provided for under Section 33, subsection 4 of the County Government Act 2012, as read together with the Standing Order 75, subsection 2 of the Senate Standing Orders. The Special Committee is required to A, investigate the matter, and B, report to the Senate within 10 days whether it finds the particulars of the allegations against the Governor to have been substantiated. Honorable Senators, by way of a status update, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Wajir and the Governor of Wajir County were, on 7th of May 2021, served by the Senate with invitations to appear before the Special Committee today, Wednesday, 12th of May 2021. The parties were required to file their documentation with the Office of the Clerk of the Senate by 5 p.m. Tuesday, 11th of May 2021, setting out, among others, A, the mode of appearance before the Special Committee, whether in person by advocate or in person and by advocates. B, for the County Assembly, the designation of not more than 3 members of the County Assembly who would attend and represent the Assembly in the proceedings before the Special Committee. C, the names and addresses of the persons to be called as witnesses, if any, and witness statements containing a summary of the evidence to be presented by such witnesses before the committee. And finally, any other evidence to be relied on. Honorable Senators, on Tuesday, 11th May 2021 at 4:56 p.m., the Office of the Clerk of the Senate received a response to the invitation to appear from Mesraz Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi advocates, stating that they had been instructed to represent the County Assembly of Wajir. The said advocates forwarded a bundle of documents which would be adduced by the County Assembly as evidence during the hearing. The advocates also submitted a list of 3 members of the County Assembly of Wajir designated to represent the Assembly whom they intended to call as witnesses, and a further list of 4 persons which the said firm of advocates requested the special committee to summon pursuant to Rule 9 of Part 2 of the 5th schedule to the Senate standing orders. The committee shall, at an appropriate time, pronounce itself on the request made by the said advocates on behalf of the County Assembly. On the same day, at 4:30 p.m., the Office of the Clerk of the Senate received a response to the invitation to appear from the Governor, Wajir County, stating that he would appear before the special committee in person and by advocates, namely V.A. Nyamodi and company advocates and the firm of Ndegwa and Ndegwa Associates. The advocates also forwarded a bundle of documents which would be adduced by the governor as evidence during the hearing. Pursuant to Rule 8 of Part 2 of the 5th schedule to the Senate standing orders, each party was furnished with the documents filed by the other party on 11th of May 2021, soon after the documents were received by the Office of the Clerk. The committee shall therefore proceed to conduct the hearing and attended proceedings in line with its mandate as set out under Section 33, subsection 4 of the County Government Act 2012, as read with Standing Order 75, subsection 2 of the Senate Standing Orders. The special committee wishes to emphasize that it is cognizant of the gravity of the matter with which it is seized, and that it shall accord all parties to the proceedings the right to be heard, and shall accord all the parties a fair hearing. I urge all honorable senators and the parties to this matter to desist from discussing the matter while it is still actively before the committee and the Senate, and to allow the constitutional and legal process to take its course. The special committee hereby reiterates its commitment to ensuring a fair and just process that is founded on the law. The special committee, in making its decision, shall be guided only by the evidence adduced by the parties and the law. Honorable Senators, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to observe the strict 10-day timelines attached to the discharge of the mandate of the special committee. The special committee shall, in conduct of its hearing, be guided by the rules of procedure set out in the 5th schedule of the Senate standing orders. These rules were served on the parties to the proceedings together with the invitation to appear before the committee this morning. Thank you. Now, having made that communication, ladies and gentlemen, I briefly want to take you through the program. Yeah, I will take you through the program, and these proceedings are equivalent to the hearing for presidential election in the Supreme Court. So therefore, we'll conduct them within very, very strict timelines, because the Constitution requires that we file our report before the Senate on Monday, the 17th. So we will ask that you bear with us and that we strictly follow the proposed timelines. Shortly, we'll be reading the charges to the governor, which we things should commence in the next 5 minutes at 10:35. We will allow parties, if you have any preliminary objections or preliminary issues, to do so, and we will restrict that to a maximum of 30 minutes. We will allow both parties to make some opening statements on behalf of the County Assembly and on behalf of the Governor, and we will restrict this to not more than 40 minutes. If you take lesser, the better for us. And then we will allow the County Assembly to adduce its evidence and call witnesses and subject the witness to cross-examination and re-examination for a period of 3 hours and 30 minutes. We will also try to allow any interventions by members here to ask any questions, and we project that should not take anything more than an hour. Then we'll allow parties to make their concluding remarks for the day before we adjourn, not more than 6:30 p.m. because the Senate cannot sit beyond 6:30 p.m. Without wasting time, I therefore want to call upon our clerk to read the charges to the Governor, unless you have something you want to say.
Oh, yes, Chair, just before we leave the issue of the program, my name is Dego once again. We may not have time to revisit that issue. We seek your guidance whether these proceedings will be or may be affected by the anticipated Eid al-Fitr, and if they are going to be affected, how do we accommodate the timeline, noting that we are representing a client who is in that period? Much obliged.
According to us, the public holiday is gazetted to be on Friday, and we are not doing any proceedings on Friday. That's the official gazetted Eid al-Fitr holiday, and we are not going to undertake any proceedings on that Friday. So you are taken care of. And tomorrow we will allow parties to attend their prayers, and we commence the hearings slightly late at 10 a.m. We also have senators who are Muslims, so we have done wide consultation. Okay, thank you. So clerk, can you read the charges? And I'll ask Governor to maybe as we read the charges, you step to the witness box there, which is there. The charges will be read to you. If they are true, you can confirm they are true. We finished the proceedings this morning. If they are not true, then you can tell us they are not true. Then we can proceed with the inquiry. You can stand on the witness dock here, please. Thank you. Yes, there, Governor. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Kello.
I'm going to read I'm going to read the charges verbatim as received from the County Assembly. Ground number 1, gross violation of the Constitution 2010, the County Government Act 2012, the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 2015, and the Public Finance Management Act 2012 by the following actions and or omissions. Chair, again we are reading it verbatim. A, failure to account for the financial resources allocated to the county and appropriated by the County Assembly by failing to provide quarterly expenditure reports to the County Assembly in blatant disregard of Articles 201A, 183.3 of the Constitution and Section 149 and 166 of the Public Management Act 2012. B, lack of accountability in the management of the county resources by incurring unsustainable debts and other pending obligations to the tune of 2 billion Kenyan shillings. These pending obligations were never disclosed both in the County Fiscal Strategy Paper 2019 and 2020, thus violating Article 201E of the Constitution 2010 and Section 107(2) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. C, failure to draft the medium-term strategy for the financial year 2020-2021 in contravention of Section 123 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. This places Wajir County in a highly precarious position, as it will have no budget to run its affairs, and it may lead to protracted and costly court battles with creditors and eventual auctioning of the county assets. D, violation of Articles 176(1) and 185 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 by disregarding the County Assembly as an arm of the county government and further undermining its three cardinal roles of legislation, oversight, and representation through systematic non-remittance of the requisition funds for the County Assembly operations amounting to Kenyan shillings 70,216,902,000. This is truly an affront to the separation of power, understanding that the County Assembly is an independent entity. This systematic crippling of the Assembly operations compromises the independence of this Honorable House. This unwritten edict of the County Governor violates the Constitution at Article 6 on devolution and access to services and Article 10 on national values and principles of governance. E, allegation E, failure to establish the county budget and economic forum for the county budget consultation process as stipulated in Section 137 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, and as a result, the county governor has gone on to violate Sections 87, 91, and 115 of the County Government Act 2012, as well as Article 10 and 201A of the Constitution, and deliberately created an atmosphere to facilitate plunder and loss of public resources. F, violation of Section 30, Paragraph 2K of the County Government Act 2012. Otherwise, direction. This was despite the several requests coming from the Assembly. For instance, the Honorable Speaker, in a letter dated 24th June 2020, urged the Governor to give the address but failed. G, violation of Section 30, subsection 2J of the County Government Act 2012 by failing to submit to the County Assembly an annual report of the implementation status on the county policies and plans. H, violation of Section 167(1) of Public Finance Management County Government Regulations by failing to establish an audit committee for the county that will adhere to the forms prescribed by the Accounting Standards Board, and that will further encapsulate the governance process, accountability process, control systems, and offer objective advice on issues concerning risk, control, regulatory requirements, and governance for the county. I, the Governor has never bothered to seek approval of payments out of the emergency fund for the last 3 consecutive financial years, and instead frustrated the Assembly's effort to enforce compliance. J, that Section 19 of the Wajir County Disaster Management Act allows the Governor, through the County Executive Committee member for Finance, to establish County Emergency Fund, make payments out of the fund where necessary, and seek approval of the County Assembly within 2 months of making such payments. K, violation of Section 82(1)(b) of Public Finance Management County Regulations 2015 by operating 19 bank accounts in local commercial banks. Sorry. Under the cash and banking arrangements for county governments at Section 82(1) of the Public Finance, county governments are to open their accounts with the Central Bank of Kenya. L. Violation of Regulations 25(1)(b) of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2015 by exceeding expenditure limit of 35% county government's total revenue. For instance, as at 30th June 2019, the county government of Wajir wage bill was equivalent to 39.6% of the aggregate operational revenue. M. Violation of Section 119(5) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, which requires the county government to keep complete current records of all bank accounts required under the Constitution or other legislation. The governor failed to maintain cash books for financial year 2017-2018. This has caused misuse of Kenya shillings 409,175,031 shillings, as this money was withdrawn between 6 October 2017 and 29 June 2018, and its use cannot be ascertained. N. Violation of Articles 201 ADE of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 on principles of public finance management, and Article 226(5), as well as Article 227(1) on procurement of goods and services, and the Presidential Directive Number 2 of 2018. The Auditor General, in his report on financial statements of Wajir County Executive for the year ended 30th June 2018, observed the following glaring irregularities committed under the watch of the governor as the chief executive of the county, as provided under Article 179(4) of the Constitution. A. Irregular procurement of goods and services amounting to Kenya shillings 172,751,776, without raising quotations as required by Section 105 and 106 of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 2015, but rather used standard forms to procure goods, works and services that did not give guidance on specific requirements of the tender, where to place them, and the deadline for submission of the tender. 2. Irregular award of contract for construction of 60,000 M3 Megapan at Shimbre to Ms. Fatco Construction and Transporters Limited at a contract sum of Kenya shillings 34,747,105. This company had a lesser experience in water construction than other bidders in the tender. 3. Misappropriation of Kenya shillings 199,237,448. The Controller of Budget authorized a request for credit from the county government of Wajir via letter dated 5th December 2019, and a sum of Kenyan shillings 199,237,448 was credited to the Wajir County Development Operation account. Kenya shillings 104,046,400 for 24 companies for Water Resources Department, and Kenya shillings 95,241,305 for 15 companies for Roads, Transport and Public Works Department. However, the money was diverted for different use, contrary to the purpose of which the money was requested. Out of the 24 companies that were listed as the beneficiaries of the sum of Kenya shillings 104,046,400 meant for water resources, none of the companies were paid, except Dula Limited, which was paid Kenya shillings 26,672,608. The rest of the 23 companies did not receive any payment, and the money was diverted and paid to other companies that were not included in the list attached to the request for funds. This is a clear case of misappropriation and outright theft of public funds. Number 5, Out of the sum of Kenya shillings 95,241,305 for roads, transport and public works, which was meant to pay 15 companies, none of the 15 listed companies were paid, except Haline Construction Limited, which was paid Kenya shillings 43,805,207, but which the money was paid on 20th November 2019, 6 days before the county had even made the request for the funds, thus making the payment suspect and fraudulent. The other 14 companies listed alongside Haline Construction Company in the letter requesting for funds were not paid, but instead the sum of Kenya shillings 51,436,101.28 was divided to other companies other than intended payees. The paid companies are shell companies used by certain individuals associated with the governor and his family to defraud the county. Number 6, tender number WCJ/OT/SP/02/2019-2020, supply of relief food and assorted items for humanitarian needs. The tender was awarded to Leili General Constructors Company Limited, which is associated with the governor and his family. Contrary to the law, the company was allowed to supply items at an inflated rate. For instance, the company supplied 42,857 bales of maize meal, ugali flour, at a cost of 3,500 per bale, totaling to Kenya shillings 149,999,500 shillings, contrary to the local market price of Kenyan shillings 1,600 per bale. Further, some items have not been 100% delivered, for instance, sleeping mat and tarpaulin. Number 7, contrary to the provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 and the Public Finance Management Act 2012, the County Executive of Wajir, under the leadership of the Governor, gave contracts to various companies to undertake construction of mega water pan that have not been factored in the approved budget of financial year 2020-21. The tender number were as follows: WGC/OT/WTR/01/2020-2021. 2. WGC/OT/WTR/02/2020-2021. 3. WGC/OT/WTR/03/2020-2021. 4. WGC/OT/WTR/04/2020-2021. The tenders were awarded the following companies. Tender number 1, Leili General Constructors Limited. Tender number 2, Warbo Building Construction Limited. Tender number 3, Kamoro Construction Limited. And tender number 4, Blue Magic Construction Limited. O. Violation of Article 227 of the Constitution on procurement of public goods and services and sections 45, 46, 47, 48, 53, 54, 57, 71, and 74 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. The Governor has failed to prudently manage the county resources by engaging in procurement of goods and services without a system that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective as required by Article 227(1) of the Constitution. Whereas the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 clearly stipulates the procedure to procure goods and services by any public entity, the Governor violated the Act on the following counts. Roman 1, allowed unqualified professionals to handle the function of procurement in the Department of Roads and Public Transport, contrary to Section 47 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. This has led to the mismanagement of resources allocated to the department. Roman 2 allowed the county officers of the key sectoral departments to procure goods and services without any annual procurement plan approved by the relevant county executive committee member that is based on the indicative or approved budget. As a result, the county officers have engaged in fraudulent procurement activities and engaged in overspending sprees in wanton abandon, leaving the unsuspecting members of the public worse for wear with manually generated LPOs and LSOs without availability of funds to service, contrary to the provisions of the laws and the Constitution. The departments of roads and public transport, water and health are the biggest casualties and since remain a threat to the county economy and service delivery. Roman 3, the governor has routinely, since assumed office, facilitated and condoned corruption by allowing accounting officers of various departments in procuring goods and services to split and structure the entire development budget of the county into numerous quotations of below 4 million Kenyan shillings to avoid and circumvent the procurement procedures contrary to Section 54 of the Act. In some cases, the tender documents such as the quotations, LSOs, and minutes were all raised in the same day. P, violation of right to health of the people of Wajir County. The county executive, under the leadership of the governor, has caused the health sector of the county to run into disarray and into deplorable state that has comprised and undermined the realizations of the right to highest attainable health standard of the people of Wajir as enshrined in Article 43(1) of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Whereas the County Assembly has allocated over Kenya shillings 2.4 billion to the Department of Medical Services, Public Health and Sanitation in the financial years 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021, which is equivalent of 22%, way above the national health policy requirement of 20% under universal health coverage. The only county's referral hospital laboratory, which also serves the region, cannot conduct a test on the coronavirus pandemic due to faulty test kits and lack of reagents, despite additional allocation of Kenya shillings 194 million in the third Wajir County supplementary budget for financial year 2019-2020 in a bid to contain the spread of the disease. 3, mismanagement of the budget appropriated for basic health services such as ambulance, fuel, and maintenance, as evidenced by the public outcry after widely circulated incident in Eldas constituency, where a desperate caller who wanted to save a life in rural Eldas was tasked to buy tires and fuel for the county ambulance. The department admitted unequivocally that this allegation in response to a statement by the MCA for Eldas Ward tabled on the floor of the House through Sectoral Committee for Public Health and Medical Services. This notwithstanding the death of senior county public officer for lack of oxygen in the main county referral hospital. Honorable Governor, true or not true? Number 2, that was the first charge, ground. Ground number 2, abuse of office or gross misconduct. 1, abuse of power and authority of the governor and contrary to Article 236 as read together with Article 235 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the County Government Act 2012, and the Public Service Act by reshuffling the chief officers in the Finance Department 6 times within 3 years, despite being a critical docket with the county government here, with the intent of distorting institutional memory and facilitate corruption and plunder. Now largely dependent on the constantly changing mood and liking of the governor's wife has eroded public confidence in the critical department of the county treasury. 2, violation of the Article 73(2)(b) of the Constitution on objectivity and impartiality in decision making and in ensuring the decisions are not influenced by nepotism, favorism, and other improper activities or corruption practices. The governor has allowed his wife to literally run the county affairs as the de facto authority. He ceremoniously officiates and signs off where necessary for decisions she unilaterally makes based on her own wishes and judgment without due regard to any law. It is open secret in Wajir County and far beyond its borders that Ms. Heira Oman is the supreme leader of the county, and it is always her way or the highway. This has caused ridicule and disrepute to the high office of the county governor. Therefore, his decision to relinquish the executive powers vested on him constitutionally and derived from the people amounts to abuse of office and relegation of duties. 3, violation of Section 59(b) of the County Government Act 2012 by usurping the powers of the County Public Service Board to appoint person to hold or act in offices of the County Public Service. The governor has allowed Mr. Jeff Moria, his economic advisor, who was in contract basis to act as the head of the county treasury from March 2018 to December 2018. Mr. Jeff, with the help of others, irregularly withdrew Kenya shillings 26.1 million from Wajir County impressed account held at KCB Wajir branch. The officer, who was later arrested by Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, was charged with abuse of office, contrary to Section 46, as read with Section 48 of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act 2003. In court case number ACC 47 of 2018, he was convicted and sentenced to pay Kenyan shillings 800,000 or in default to serve 4 years in prison. The court further ruled that Wajir County Governor, His Excellency Ambassador Mohammed Abdi Mohamud, be investigated for abuse of office in relation to the above case. Honorable Governor, true or not true?
The allegations are not true.
Thank you.
Okay, in that case then, Honorable Governor, you may resume your seat. Okay, the Governor having denied all the allegations, we have to proceed to the next level, which is to conduct a hearing and an investigation to confirm whether there is any substantiation on the allegations. Council for County Assembly, do you have any preliminary issues you want the committee to deal with? And the Council for Governor, do you have any preliminary issue you want the committee to deal with before we commence the investigation?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have several preliminary issues that touches on the process of the motion before you.
Okay, hold on then. Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir.
So, Chairman, I have just two issues for clarification.
You may go ahead. You want me to give you how many minutes?
Yes,
Senior Counsel?
yes. One is a matter of housekeeping. There is the affidavit, the witness statement by our second witness, Mr. Honorable Shuaib Barre Ahmed. There is an annexature we forgot to annex that document. I will seek leave of this committee since the governance team will answer tomorrow. If you could give us leave to put a small affidavit, we have it here, so that we can annex that document, and then we serve my learned friends for the governor. That's one. Secondly is I would like your guidance on the role of the, just a clarification, because I don't want to be raising objections in the midst of the case. I just want guidance on what is the juridic legal status of the governor's participation in these proceedings, because we note that he is not one of the witnesses. They have adduced the second witness, 6 witnesses. He is not one of them. He is entitled to appear. I take cognizance of that. He is entitled to appear without becoming a witness. But I just want to have clarification, Mr. Chairman, that he will not have any interventionary role in these proceedings, that he will be a spectator. And since he's appearing through counsel, I want to have your guidance and, if I may use the word, undertaking that he cannot address this Senate in any capacity, having elected not to be a witness and having elected to appear through counsel. That's two. Those are the 2 issues, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Senior Counsel, on number 1, do you have any specific rule under the 5th schedule you want us to invoke? We served you with the rules that guide this committee's proceedings.
There's one I think I marked when I was going through, but I think you have discretion as an adjudicatory body to allow me to put those annexures. My learned friends will serve on no prejudice. They will have enough time today.
Okay, if you don't have it, I will give you time to have a look.
Yes, yes.
Any objection, Counsel for Governor?
In respect of the request that Learned Senior has made in terms of the, I'm not sure whether it is an additional deposition or an annexure or evidence that was omitted from the witness statement of Mr. Shoaib Bare Ahmed that was served on us last night. We object in the strongest possible terms to that request. And without jumping the gun, Mr. Chairman, we have a substantive objection to that affidavit. And I ask that this committee considers the request by Learned Senior for the County Assembly together with our substantive objection, and then makes a composite decision in respect of our objection and Learned Senior's objection to put in additional documents in respect of that deposition.
I've not gotten you clear. You say you have an objection to which affidavit?
We have an objection to the affidavit that Learned
To
Senior
the proposed, to the proposed affidavit.
No. There is, the Learned Senior said, Mr. Chairman, that there is an affidavit on record of Shoaib Bare Ahmed.
Yes.
And he said that in respect of that affidavit, there was certain information that was left out.
Yes.
And he seeks to add or improve or augment an existing affidavit.
Okay.
The point I make, Chairman, is that we have a substantive objection about the existing affidavit.
Affidavit, okay.
So that the request by Learned Senior should then be considered together with our substantive objection.
Okay, I hear you.
All right. In respect of the second request, it is not with tremendous respect to Learned Senior for anybody other than this committee to determine how a governor who is the subject of impeachment proceedings participates before these proceedings. The governor has chosen not to be a witness, and that is his choice. That is his constitutional right. That should then not limit the manner in which he interacts with this committee. He may choose to make an opening statement. He may choose to make a closing statement. And those are opportunities that this committee and its rules have legitimately extended to the governor. Merely because he has chosen not to be a witness should not limit his interaction with this committee.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Chairman, just to
I
be
think
precise.
what we are putting on record is that the governor will not be a witness. Council, is that what you're saying? Council Nyamodi?
I am confirming that the governor will not be a
He
witness.
will not be a witness.
Yes.
Senior Councilman Nasir, that settles your objection?
That clarification is important for the trajectory these proceedings will take.
Yep.
But I don't think if he makes that election, I don't think he has any other capacity for interacting with this committee.
I think the only guidance we can give at this stage is that he will not be a witness. Any other interaction, we'll deal with it as and when it arises. But I think for your objection number 2, it's clear that he will not be a witness. So I think the one that remains unresolved is on your affidavit. Therefore, I will now give the legal team for Governor to raise any preliminary issues you have, then we'll deal with them with the other pending issue raised by Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir.
Chairman, we have a few preliminary issues, and again, thank you for the opportunity to address you again. We have a few preliminary issues arising or in respect of today's proceedings. I will deal with some, and my learned colleague, Mr. Ndegwa, will deal with others. Chairman.
How many issues are these?
They are 5.
5 issues?
Yes.
And you will do a summary in how many minutes?
I will do a summary. Mine will take no more than 5-10 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Proceed.
They won't be long.
Proceed.
Chairman, the first issue that we wish to take up, and it is an issue really that has arisen as this committee commenced its proceedings with its preliminaries this morning, is that we have heard for the first time that the legal team for the county assembly have given notice to this committee that they wish to summon 4 witnesses. We also note, Mr. Chairman, that the committee has stated that it will reserve its decision.
You know, we gave a chance to the county assembly to raise any preliminary issue, and I've not had any request on the issue of witnesses. So I'm assuming that you have waived that right, because this is the opportunity you have to deal with any preliminary issues. Senior Counsel Nasir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I thought the procedure that we were informed is that it's for you to summon, and we made a request in writing, and it is with your, I think it is with your secretariat. Yes. Yes. There's a letter we wrote yesterday on 11th, and we requested that this committee summons 4 witnesses pursuant to Rule 9 of your rules of procedures, and we also gave the witnesses we were calling. And I think, Mr. Chairman, Rule 9 is very clear. It reads, the committee may, at the request of the county assembly or the governor, invite or summon any person to appear and give evidence before the committee. So we are entitled to.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I think the best way to handle this, so that we do it once and for all, is that now that you have brought it to our attention, I will allow you, Senior Councilman Nasir, to make the request formally to the committee, and then I will allow the governor to respond, and then we shall give directions.
Chairman, perhaps before my learned senior colleagues makes his application,
yes, Nyamodi.
May I request that we have sight of that letter? We have not seen that letter. I request that perhaps through the office of your clerk we have sight of the letter, and we have a few minutes to consider it. We have not seen it.
Mr. Chair.
I direct that you effect service. You give Council Nyamodi a copy of that letter.
But Chair, with your kind permission, even before, and I'm not overruling your position.
Can I intervene a little bit on?
So that,
just a minute, Senior Counsel, just a minute. Yes, Ndegwa.
There was a ruling, and the rules guiding these proceedings are very clear that parties were to be served with the specific documents at a specific time. We appeared for this service before the office of the clerk, and all the documents that Senior Counsel intended to rely on in these proceedings were served upon us. So there's a question, even before, Chair, you may direct whether to be served, whether there's a document filed before you for that purposes. As long as that document relates to the trial before us. Chair, and this, of course, I'm seeking your directions because of the question of the equality of arms. Is there a document that even the committee can rule that there be a service upon in the first instance? Much obliged.
We will ascertain. I think you can make all those observations in your response, so that our ruling will also take that into account. So for now, I'm
Mr. Chairman,
directing that
Chairman, can I
the letter dated Tuesday 11th, 2021, received by the office of the clerk of the Senate on the same date, be served to the council for the governor. And you confirm if that has been done, Governor Clerk?
Mr. Chairman, I confirm that I have received a letter from the assistants to the committee. It is a letter dated Tuesday, the 11th of March 2021, from the law firm of Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi Advocates LLP, and it is received by the Senate's clerk's office on the 11th of May 2021. I note also from the face of the letter that it is only addressed to the clerk of the Senate, and it is not copied to the governor or his legal representatives.
So I hear you, our apologies. Are you able to take a response after Ahmed makes the request?
I am seeing the letter for the first time.
Yes.
I would seek 5 or 10 minutes to take instructions on that letter from the governor.
Okay.
Chairman, before we go that, I want your guidance on a very important matter of housekeeping. Both the county assembly and the governor have their legal teams, and we are a number of lawyers. I mean, there are about 4 and we are 3 on sides. There is certain decorum or when lawyers are many on who leads the matter and how many and who can speak on a specific matter. You know, Mr. Chairman, can we have some guidance that they should not speak in chorus on the same matter, and let us have one lead counsel who argues one matter? I don't think it is fair if all of them speak on the same subject matter. Let them make an election. Who is the lead counsel who will argue one matters, so that we can always respond. But if they argue all of them on the same point, it's like there's 3 or 4 representation that comes from their side, and it doesn't look very tidy.
Okay. I presume, Mohamud, you are the lead counsel. So you can elect who speaks on what issue, but I will allow you to take the lead. So where you think Mr. Ndegwa is the one to deal with the matter, you can, through you guide the committee and say on that matter, Ndegwa will respond. On this particular one, I will deal with, so that we take you as the lead counsel. I assume you are the lead counsel?
Yes, I am, very well.
Yeah, so you take the lead, and when you want to delegate to the other legal team, we do it through you. You guide us that on that particular matter, so and so we'll deal with it.
But just to put it on record, Mr. Chair, I'm very well guided by that direction from you, Chair. Just to put it on record that in respect of the governor, we are both on record for the governor, both my firm and Mr. Ndegwa.
But I want to know who is the lead counsel on this one.
I am lead on this one.
Yeah, so you take the lead and you delegate as appropriate.
Okay.
Where you want somebody in your team to respond, you direct him to do so. But you be the lead counsel.
Thank you very much.
Okay? Yeah, so now, members, there is a request from the legal team of governor that they require 5 minutes to take instructions on that letter. So then we'll allow you to take a 5 minutes adjournment. Yeah, so we'll give you the 5 minutes. You consult very quickly. Then when we come back, we take the request by Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir, and then your response. Then we'll give directions on the way forward. So can we adjourn up to 21 past 11? We'll give you 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I'm not his father. He's not my son. You've made a big mistake. I'm supposed to pick up as a girl in her late 20s. White skin, long legs, not a little kid like him. Answer me. Are you Xia Xiaobai?
Daddy, I'm Xia.
No, don't call me that.
Is this Xia Xiaobai the girl who hosted us in America? The one with the long legs, white skin, and sweet Taiwanese accent?
Yeah, that's her.
His mother just passed away, and you are his father.
Huh?
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Unaonekana kama mgeni wewe?
Nimeingia leo hapa kijijini.
Wazungu wasema new arrival.